You're on the clock. Which teams will get their quarterback of the future? Who's going second overall? Which defensive player will get drafted first? You can challenge me, Mel Kiper Jr., and win big, all for free. ESPN Draft Challenge. Go to ESPN.com/draft challenge today to make your picks. Powered by William Hill.
I'm Pablo Torre, host of the podcast ESPN Daily. Every weekday morning, I will bring you the best sports story you'll hear all day. Today on ESPN Daily, Richard Sherman's path to the 2011 NFL Draft was anything but guaranteed, and Dominique Foxworth, a former cornerback, remembers when Sherman was drafted and shares how he changed the game. So follow us and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's live, it's local, it's the Justin Kinner Show. The NFL Draft is finally here. No more mock drafts, no more speculation, no more arguing with your friends about which player each team should take. Tune in tonight at 7 p.m. for the ESPN Dayton Draft Special, presented by Frickers. Dayton's own Keith Byers will share his draft day memories, and the guys will break down each first-round pick live as they come in. It's the ESPN Dayton Draft Special, presented by Frickers. Tonight at 7 on 1410 Wing AM, and live on Facebook and YouTube. It's live, it's local, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Sommers.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Draft day is officially here. Draft day might have been a horrible movie, but it is an outstanding day, and it's officially here. I cannot wait. Everyone knows I love the ESPN 30 for 30s, and Kinner has always put out some masterpieces when it comes to my 30 for 30s in the past, and I'm already working on my next 30 for 30, and if the Bengals are stupid enough to do what I think they're going to do tonight at pick number 5, I will release my latest 30 for 30 on tomorrow's show. So part of me will be disappointed if the Bengals do the right thing and keep me from being able to release it. So that, Jake Whiting, is that a Johnny Manziel shirt? That's not a Johnny Manziel shirt. That's a Baker Mayfield. That's Baker Mayfield, quarterback of a real football team, not the Cincinnati Bengals, but nonetheless, excited to be. I mean, we have, so look, anytime that we could dedicate 5 hours of radio to football talk, and we'll sprinkle some other top sports headlines in there as well. But today being the NFL draft, you know, we've talked about it all week with various guests, Kev. The bottom line is there's that draft fatigue. We're sick of talking about the draft. We're sick of hearing about the draft. But today just feels a little different. We're going to talk about a lot of the same things we have for months, but it's going to feel different. It's going to feel fresh. It's going to feel like finally we can put an end to all of this, because tonight, that's 8 o'clock is when the draft starts, but 7 o'clock, the ESPN Dayton Draft Special presented by Frickers coming your way. Keith Byers is going to hop in studio with us and share memories from his draft day back in 1986, is talk about how the NFL draft has changed in regards to the importance that we put on certain positions, including his former position, running back. So I'm excited to talk about that with him. But we are literally, every pick, you will hear the pick live on the ESPN Dayton Draft Special, and then right away we get to interact with you on Facebook and on YouTube. We'll open up the phone lines. It's going to be a fun evening. 3 hours of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Sommers and Orion Sports Medicine. An hour break while we go pick up the food. Frickers loading us up with some dinner tonight to keep us, nice and stuffed as we go 2 more hours after later tonight from 7 to 9 for the ESPN Dayton Draft Special. So much to get into. We made it the whole time, Kev, without ever sinking to the level of putting out our own mock drafts. I'm pretty proud of us for that.
Absolutely, man. It's something that we talked about, but we never pulled the trigger on it. I'm proud of us. I'm proud that we didn't stoop to those levels of, entertainment for everybody to enjoy our crazy little mock draft. The draft is finally here, and I'm with you 100%. I'm energized about today. I've been energized about it all day. Like, it's finally here. We're finally going to be able to put names on teams as opposed to, potential destinations for a lot of these guys, at least the first round today. And, we're going to see a lot of guys go. We're going to see some guys fall in the draft. We're going to see some teams, quote unquote, make some mistakes. But you know what? At the end of the day, they're going to be on a team, and they're going to be on a team in the fall, and we can stop talking about possible destinations for guys. So I'm super pumped up about it.
All right. So again, the big question is, and by the way, you know how I have always said, I can't wait for the day when the Browns and the Bengals are both good at the same time. for that to happen, that would really take away the excitement of the draft because, I mean, look at the Browns. I mean, I'm sporting Browns gear today, but I'm not really excited about what they do with their 28th or 26th overall draft pick, Kev. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, cool, they're going to add a nice piece on the defense, most likely, and that's super great. But, man, you know, the Bengals at least keep it interesting. I mean, and their decision that they're going to most likely make with their first pick tonight, that's going to keep them picking in the first round, high in the first round next year as well. So they're the gift that keeps on giving from a sports radio standpoint. You know, I'm beginning to believe that when I listen to sports radio shows over in Cincinnati and I hear all of their hosts preach about the importance of getting Jamar Chase, I'm like, I think they're selfish. I think Lance McAllister and Mo Egger both do a great job. I'm not taking shots at them, by the way. Both do a great job. But I think Lance McAllister and Mo Egger both, if I talk to them, I would say, I think you're selfish for wanting Jamar Chase. You want Jamar Chase because you know that won't improve the team drastically right away, and that means you guys get to build up all the hype. Think of all the ratings and the hype of talking up this Bengals draft that they are getting because they're high at number 5. The poor Browns, at least they get to host the draft, but I mean, they're down at the bottom with all the winners. I mean, who cares? Who cares about the Browns in this year's draft? We're talking about the losers, the Bengals. So I think that they don't want the Cincinnati Bengals to draft an offensive lineman because that might actually give Joe Burrow time to throw, and he might actually stay healthy for an entire season, and he might actually improve them. But no, they want to get him a wide receiver because, Joe Burrow was roommates with him in college, and they sipped coffee together, and they studied together, and they took long walks in the park at night to free their minds of all the stresses of college and blah, blah, blah. Stop. Joe Burrow could play with anybody, and if he needs his old roommate to make him feel safe and comfortable, then he's not a tough quarterback, which I don't believe that's what he's really wanting. He needs an offensive lineman. He needs a tackle. The importance of this, and I'm tired of hearing people say this, Kev, well, you can get a tackle later. You can get an offensive lineman later. Look at the teams. I look at last year's draft. In the first 13 picks alone, Kev, 4 tackles were taken in the first 13 picks. Now, 13 is a random number. If you want me to extend to 15 to make it a nice hard number, fine. In the first 15 picks last year, 4 tackles were taken off the board. Okay, the Giants took Andrew Thomas. The Giants didn't say, well, we could just give we can get an offensive lineman later. You know, how about the Cleveland at number 10? They had the number 10 pick. You know, they could have said, well, we'll just get an offensive lineman later. Let's just continue to add more offensive weapons. Right? No. They went for Jedrick Willis Jr. And of course, he was fantastic his rookie year, one of the highest graded rookie tackles last season alone. And then you move on to Tristan Wirfs for Tampa, who wins the Super Bowl. And that's a very good offensive line. And they added a rookie in there, and he took that offensive line to another level, being able to provide time for Tom Brady and Leonard Fournette and whoever was running the ball to have time. I mean, every one of these teams that took a tackle last year had success. It had success with that tackle. I mean, like the Giants, obviously, they had a lot of issues. I mean, Saquon Barkley goes out with an injury. They're not very good to begin with. They're still trying to figure out Daniel Jones. But you keep going down. I mean, Miami adds Austin Jackson, a tackle, 21-year-old from last season, too. I mean, the bottom line is, you keep going all the way down. Isaiah Wilson, the Titans, they had a tackle, the tackle last year. So they had 7 tackles go in the first round of last year's draft, Kev. 7 tackles went in the first round of the draft last year. And people are still trying to convince me that this really talented wide receiver is worth taking and taking lesser talented offensive linemen later. I just think it's a huge mistake. I know I don't talk about it often, but, I think it's absolutely huge mistakes. Jake Whiting, he says there's multiple rounds. Is there? Wait, when did they add a second round? These guys think they're so smart. Jake, I love you, but you're so wrong on this, man. And if he tells me to chill one more time, it's 10 minutes in. I do got to chill, but it's going to be a long night.
Started. You know, the thing about it is the offensive line is the second hardest position to grade out. Number 1 is the quarterback. And not only the offensive line in the NFL, but, coming from high school to college, it's hard to realize and hard to grade to see how these guys are going to project to the next level, because we could take a guy, he's 6'3", 280 pounds. He's a wrestler in high school. He's dominating his high school football team. But what's going to happen when he goes up against another guy the exact same size, faster than him? Is he still going to be that dancing bear to be able to block? It's harder to predict which these guys are going to elevate to the next level. So when you do have this many guys projected in the first round at offensive tackle, you probably should take them. You shouldn't gamble on taking a guy later. You shouldn't wait until the second and third round to take a guy that's projected by everybody everybody out there that he's going to be a first round pick and going to be a great left tackle. You can go ahead and make the smart choice and get an offensive lineman to help lock down the offensive line and protect Joe Burrow and open up running lanes for your high price running back. Wide receiver, I said this on Twitter. I don't know if you saw it, but I think the wide receiver position is going to be looked at like the running back position in the next couple of years. It's going to be looked at a position that, well, we can get that guy in the second round. I think the wide receiver position is going to be kind of devalued. I think in the next couple of years, the only positions we're going to see in the NFL draft are quarterbacks, offensive linemen, and people that get after the passer. Like, I think that's what it's going to eventually turn into, because you just ran through all the offensive linemen that went. We're going to see 5 guys at the quarterback position go in the first round this year. Probably going to see 6 or 7 offensive linemen go in the top round this year. Also, we're going to see guys, DBs, go high. Like, those are the positions that you can't grade out so well. You can't project that they're going to be superstars. So when you do, you got to get them when you can. Now, the other positions, like a wide receiver, like a running back, a lot of different guys can play those positions. So I think the wide receiver position is a position that you can find a guy or wait on a guy like they did with T. Higgins. T. Higgins was projected to be a number 1 pick. He, quote unquote, slid to the second round, and the Bengals picked him up. There's absolutely nothing wrong with T. Higgins. T. Higgins is great. T. Higgins had a great rookie year. It wasn't Justin Jefferson's rookie year, but Justin Jefferson had a veteran quarterback throwing to him and Kirk Cousins. So you think like, all right, man, we go ahead and get another one of these big time receivers, because all of them can't go in the first round. All the wide receivers can't go in the first round. So you can find a wide receiver that's first round caliber in the second and third round. So go ahead, lock down your offensive line and pick up a wide receiver in the second round.
Yeah, and by the way, I keep seeing people say this is the deepest position is offensive. No, every board out there says that the wide receiver is the deepest position there. So everyone that says we'll just get a tackle later in the draft, get a wide receiver later in the draft. Like, the thing is, you have your number 1 need, which is offensive line. And it's rare that when you have your number 1 need, it's rare to have the number 1 player at the number 1 position that you need, and he's right there. And anyone you take behind him is not going to be as talented. And by the way, where'd it go? Oh, so Jake Whiting also says that Lance McAllister, like Lance said, the line only has to be average for us to be successful. The line only has to be average for them to be successful. So the Bengals are striving for average. That makes sense. That sounds like what the Bengals would do, is not strive for greatness. Let's strive for average. It's a good thing they didn't strive for average when they got Anthony Munoz. It's a good thing they didn't strive for average when they were adding and building that offensive line. You know, we just talked to Ken Anderson, I think last week or week before, and he talked about the importance of, he was very good coming out of college. He had a very good first couple years. Then he had a couple bad years, and then the offensive line got good again, and then he became good again. And he goes, it wasn't a secret. It's not like he got less talented. It's because he couldn't do his job without a good offensive line. Ken Anderson, former Bengals great, former Bengals MVP quarterback, said it best. You need the offensive line to be great. You need the offensive line. And by the way, average. So the Cincinnati radio hosts are telling people that the Bengals just need to have an average line to be good. Just an average line to be good. That's
Tampa Bay's offensive line wasn't average, and they just won the Super Bowl.
So Buffalo's offensive line, not average. Very, very good. Kansas City's offensive line was bad in the Super Bowl, but it was very, very good whenever everyone's healthy. And they cut 2 really good linemen of theirs, and then they added Orlando Brown, and then obviously they get Joe Thuney, and now they're really, really good again. How about, Tampa Bay and the NFC and Green Bay, 2 of the best offensive lines? We could even go to the divisional round of the playoffs. How about the Rams and Green Bay, Kev? 2 really good teams with really good offensive lines. New Orleans, really good offensive line. Cleveland, top 3 offensive line in football. I mean, and they had a chance. So that's the thing. Baltimore, really good offensive line. So do any of these teams have it? Kev, the teams that got to the divisional rounds of the playoffs, to the AFC, NFC championship, and the 2 teams in the Super Bowl, and don't use Kansas City's injuries and COVID situation to use that excuse for their line. Do any of those teams have an average offensive line?
Nah.
No, they don't. They all have really good offensive lines. Baltimore, Buffalo, Cleveland, Kansas City, Tampa Bay, Tampa freaking Bay. I mean, New Orleans, the Rams, Green Bay. All of those teams have a really great offensive line. So if that's the message that's being put out to Bengals fans, I feel bad for you. But if you want to strive for average, more power to you, because there's not a whole lot of greatness on that team. I'm trying to figure out how an average offensive line makes you better, because they need to get to average, but they're not even at average.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. If they were average, then I wouldn't be saying anything. If they were average, then I would be all good with taking a wide receiver, but they're not average. They're far below average. I know they made some additions, and you're expecting Jonah Williams to be healthy this upcoming season, but you have to go off someone's track record. Like, he hasn't been able to stay healthy for whatever reason. So upgrading your offensive line can only help you. It can only help the team. And you know what? The best player on the team, your quarterback, he's in his second year. He just got hurt. More protection is a good thing. And you just paid a running back a whole bunch of money. So you might want to open up some running lanes for him. But you know what? I can go to the old card of, you know what, I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan and y'all don't want to protect your quarterback. Fine with me. I can play that game if you want. I don't want to play that game. I want all these teams to be good. I want competitive football all the time. So, if the Bengals don't want to be competitive, if they want to go ahead and have Joe Blow block TJ Watt, go right ahead.
Yeah, the thing that can be interesting, too, is with Atlanta putting Julio Jones out there. Mm-hmm. Look, I think it's really stupid for all those teams in the top 5 to even think about taking a wide receiver. You're picking in the top 5 for a reason, but Atlanta could say, if we're going to move on from Julio Jones, I really don't think they're going to take a quarterback. Look, the NFL, it's all about 3-year window cycles right now, and they still have another 2 to 3 years of Matt Ryan. They have a contract that would give them a major cap hit if they moved on from it, so they might explore moving him, but Matt Ryan's still a very good quarterback, and if he has the right weapons, I mean, it could be between Kyle Pitts and Jamar Chase if they want to give him a weapon, if they plan on moving on from Julio Jones. And then all of a sudden the Bengals, I will not give them credit if they take Penei Sewell at number 5. Because I'm seeing in the comment section below already, I'm already seeing it that that they'll they may not take him if the Falcons take him, that they'll take Penei Sewell at 5. I will not give them credit if they take Penei Sewell at 5 if Jamar Chase is off the board, because every mock draft, every insider out there has said that Cincinnati is going to take. And I appreciate guys like Sean Boland on Facebook that says they haven't taken Chase yet. Can we at least wait till after the draft before you trash Cincinnati? No. No. I mean, no. I mean, if we're going to have fans who are saying that they want and expect the Bengals to take him, then I'm going to trash the Bengals, even though, whatever. I mean, they make it so easy. Matt Sturgeon says Sewell, and only Sewell unless he is gone. Then in round 2, a wide receiver. Round 3, OL. What the obsession with adding a receiver, we talked to Trey Wingo the other day. He said the 4 most important positions, the quarterback, protecting the quarterback, who catches from the you catching from the quarterback and sacking the quarterback. Mm-hmm. It's the 4 most important aspects of football. And the Bengals have the quarterback down, and they want to add guys who can catch from the quarterback, but they're skipping a step in order. The way teams actually prioritize the importance of their roster. It's quarterback, it's protecting the quarterback, it's then catching from the quarterback and then sacking the quarterback. Well, the Bengals have been skipping steps because they made sure that they went out and they got, the defensive line not really bulked up, but they just replaced one guy with another. So that, they're right back where they were a year ago as far as that goes. And then you look at the fact that, they have the quarterback, so they skipped protecting the quarterback and went right into getting a guy who can catch, even though they got T. Higgins last year, who's very, very good. But you can argue you don't need great, you just need average wide receiver play to win in the NFL. Mm-hmm. You can't win with average offensive line play. You know who has average offensive line play? The Seahawks. And that's why Russell Wilson gets hit all the time. That's why he throws for interceptions, because he's running for his life all the damn time trying to force a play because he doesn't have time in the pocket. I don't want to hear that the Bengals just need an average offensive line to. No, by the way, nothing in my life. I may be average at a lot of things, but I'm not striving to be average. I'm striving to be better than average, but slightly above average even. I never strive to be average. I don't think you strive to be average. I don't like, and by the way, if I have any friends that strive to be average, they're not my friends. I don't like people who strive to be, I like people who strive to be great, who strive to do great things. So when I hear Bengals fans actually uttering the words, Lance McAllister said all we need to do is get an average offensive line. What are you, who just strives for average? And the fans are waving that flag like, let's go for average. Let's go for average. Man, you know who does need to go for average? The Reds. The Reds need, I think Eugenio Suarez needs, but outside of that, there you go.
So let's just say, for instance, that Atlanta does draft the tackle from Oregon, and the Bengals are up next. Do they take Rashawn Slater? Should they take Rashawn Slater?
I like Rashawn Slater.
Northwestern.
I don't see why not. It's mainly because I think what he brings to the table is that he's very versatile. He could play tackle. He could play guard. Not really center, but I don't think they're worried about that right now. I just think I like him because he's very versatile. You can move him around if you need to. If they're not even considering taking the best tackle in the draft at number 5, I don't think they would even entertain taking Slater at number 5 if Sewell's off the board or Chase or whoever.
I don't think Atlanta's going to draft Sewell. I think it is going to be the quarterback or Pitts for Atlanta. So, like we've been talking about, like we really think the draft starts at Atlanta because they have options. But for our argument's sake, it really starts with the Bengals at 5. Are they going to go ahead and do the right thing, or are they going to go ahead and go for the toys?
Yeah, and last year, too, by the way, one of the teams that took a tackle, the Jets took a tackle at number 11. So the Browns took a tackle at 10. Jets took a tackle at 11. Buccaneers take a tackle at number 13. 4 tackles taken in the first 13 picks alone. 7 total tackles taken in the first round last year. Like, I have a hard time believing that this mindset of, well, you can get a tackle anytime. No. You can see the importance. Finding a good tackle is hard. And you see the teams with good tackles, they're the ones that are actually competing for the, not just to get to the playoffs, but to move and advance to the playoffs. That's why the Browns won. That's why that's why you have Tampa there. That's why Kansas City is there. Yes, it's because of the quarterbacks, but the quarterbacks are able to be the quarterbacks because of they have time to actually throw the ball.
Yeah, it's not a sexy position. It's not the position that you go ahead and buy the jersey for. But when they're not out there, and when you don't have a good one, you notice it. So go ahead and lock that down and draft Sewell and let him be the pick. Let him be the anchor of that offensive line for years to come and do the smart thing. I think they're going to do the smart thing. But I will say this, just like we have Bengals fans telling us that they need to go ahead and get the wide receiver and everything like that, and we're telling them the offensive line, you got to think that the same conversation is going on in the Cincinnati Bengals war room right now. There's got to be guys on one side talking about the offensive line and other guys talking about the wide receiver position. So the conflict that, quote unquote, we're having with the listeners, that's the same conversation is probably happening with the Cincinnati Bengals right now.
Yeah, well, fans of teams are dumb, and here's why. Here's why. Fans don't buy offensive lineman jerseys.
Right.
They buy wide receiver jerseys, and they can't wait. The new jerseys of the Cincinnati Bengals, they can't wait to go buy Jamar Chase. How many people are going to buy the new jersey of Penei Sewell if they draft him? Like, fans care about themselves.
I don't even think they print those.
Fans care about themselves. When you play your little NFL video games, you're not, oh man, I can't wait to block because Penei Sewell. No, you want to
create a player. You don't create yourself to be the offensive tackle. Like, look at that pancake block I had.
So no, everyone, like, this is why fans' opinions on everyone. That's why everyone's like, take the receiver. Not everyone. Shout out to guys like Matt Sturgeon who gets it. Kudos to him. But bottom line is that fans, you want the wide receiver because it's the shock and awe pick. You feel excited about it. Like you're picturing Joe Burrow, throwing a lot of touchdowns to him. If you give Joe Burrow an offensive line, he's going to be throwing a lot and completing a lot of passes to a lot of guys. I mean, last year, weren't you the same fans that were bragging about all the yards he was throwing for and all the everything? And he was doing that with scrubs like T. Higgins and pieces of crap like Tyler Boyd. I mean, my goodness, how did he even complete a pass with those scrubs? I mean, I had no clue. People are trying to convince me that wide receiver is such a big need. By the way, again, it's a need, but prioritizing the needs, it's what I've been saying for months now. I can't even take anyone serious that actually really wants to utter the words, wide receiver is a big time need for this. No, wide receiver is if you have your offensive line, then you have your run game set, and your defense has weapons, and you're a wide receiver away. You get Jamar Chase, what does that do for you in 2021? It just means that your backup quarterback, when Joe Burrow goes down in week 7, is going to have a very good target to throw to. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash when we come back.
listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be cloudy with showers, a high around 70. Tonight's going to be mostly cloudy and windy, a low near 48. And tomorrow's going to be partly cloudy and windy, a high around 63. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Don't miss tonight's ESPN Dayton NFL Draft Special, presented by Frickers. Live at 7 with Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, and former Pro Bowl running back Keith Byers. You can also watch it live on Facebook and YouTube.
Hi, my name is Brian Sommers, and I'm an attorney with Kirkland & Sommers. We are a law firm dedicated to divorce and family law. We have 2 locations serving Miami Valley, one near Austin Landing and the other in Troy. Remember, we're not part-time divorce and family lawyers. We're full-time here for you.
Kirkland & Sommers, trusted and experienced, a family law practice dedicated to serving you. Visit them online at kirklandandsummers.com. That's Summers with an O, kirklandandsummers.com.
It's time for some straight talk. Sure, saving money feels good, but cutting your wireless bill in half, that feels really good. Like walk-off home run in the 9th inning kind of good. Okay, maybe not that good, but pretty darn good. With Straight Talk, you can get 25 gigs of high-speed data for $45 a month, up to 50% less than the other guys. Plus, no contract. All on America's best networks. Why pay a whole lot when you can pay half? Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
Spring makes all things new, and the Home Depot makes all spring things possible. Start a garden, refinish a deck. Use our mobile app to put over 2 million products in the palm of your hand. Some ready for pickup in as little as 2 hours. Oh, and if you don't have the tools you need, our tool rental department does. Download our mobile app to get started. Bring on spring with innovative help from the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Of course, we can help you find some fuel treatment. Right now, we have buy one, get one free on STP Super Concentrated Fuel Injector Cleaner. Plus, AutoZone Rewards members get a $1 bonus reward. Not a member? Don't worry. Joining is easy. And you can even earn an extra $5 bonus reward when you join with a valid email. Getting your job done just got easier. Restrictions apply. See terms at AutoZone.com/rewards.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Need a U.S. passport? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. Visit one of our convenient auto title locations in Huber Heights, Clayton, downtown, Moraine, and Centerville. Make us your first destination before you travel abroad. No appointments ever needed. We do passports.com for more info.
Visit your locally owned Cub Cadet dealer, East Lawn and Garden, today and step up to the Cub Cadet Ultima Series for the ultimate all-around mowing experience. These zero-turn mowers are built on a fully welded 2-inch by 2-inch square tubular steel frame and are designed to maximize strength and rigidity without wasting an ounce. And only your local Cub Cadet dealer can deliver this level of strength, speed, and control, and back it up with genuine parts, accessories, and trained service technicians so you can love to lawn for years to come. East Lawn and Garden, 1632 East Route 36 in Urbana.
Goodyear knows the importance of keeping momentum as you head down the stretch. Momentum starts with movement. It's pulled from the air like a contested rebound. Momentum builds with steals and fast breaks, and is proven by deep threes as the shot clock expires. Momentum is how we change the game, and now it's time to discover where it can take us. Goodyear, more driven.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Of course, we can help you find some fuel treatment. Right now, we have buy one, get one free on STP Super Concentrated Fuel Injector Cleaner. Plus, AutoZone Rewards members get a $1 bonus reward. Not a member? Don't worry. Joining is easy. And you can even earn an extra $5 bonus reward when you join with a valid email. Getting your job done just got easier. Restrictions apply. See terms at AutoZone.com/rewards.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Hurry in-store or online and celebrate Lowe's SpringFest with the #1 rated battery-powered platform now at Lowe's. We've got values on an Ego 21-inch self-propelled lawnmower was $549, now $499, or an Ego trimmer at an everyday value of $179. Give your lawn a makeover this spring. SpringFest, a festival of fun and savings for your garden and total home. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. Offers valid through 6/2 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. U.S. only.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage and Rocket Companies. Last year, we saw historically low mortgage interest rates. What you may not know is that interest rates are already starting to increase, and it's likely that trend is only going to continue. Our team of experts is standing by to help you save before rates go up. Don't look back and wish that you had taken action. Call 833-8ROCKET or visit rocketmortgage.com.
Rocket. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Verizon is announcing Verizon Small Business Days. Now through May 7th, meet with a business specialist and get limited time offers. Learn more at verizon.com/smallbusiness.
The Reds are on the radio.
Every hit, every strikeout, every Reds victory. You can catch all of the action all season long right here on Dayton's home of the Reds, 1410 ESPN Radio. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
All right, we are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, hanging out with you here on Facebook Live, on YouTube. Of course, go to Facebook, search The Justin Kinner Show. On YouTube, it's ESPN Dayton. And Kev, I found a fan base that hates me more than the Bengals fan base does.
Oh, boy.
The Buffalo Bills.
Bills Mafia, what's happening?
I mean, aren't these the same weirdos that light themselves on fire and jump through tables and bury themselves shirtless in snow? I mean, you think I care what that fan base has to say about me? I mean, come on, we're talking about average. I mean, actually, they're a really good fan base, but it was a simple conversation we had about Baker Mayfield and Josh Allen.
Is that what we're going?
And I wake up today in YouTube. Everyone has just blasted me on YouTube left and right. So, I mean, I think it's a tie between who hates me more, Bengals fans or Buffalo.
So Buffalo.
Keep an eye on that.
I love Buffalo.
Yeah, well, as long as they're not lighting me on fire, throwing me through tables, I don't really care what they do to themselves. Matt Sturgeon on Facebook says, last year's Super Bowl should have taught all NFL fans a lesson about offensive lines. Absolutely. I mean, you look at how good Patrick Mahomes is with the line. Look how not so great he was without it. It's not like Patrick Mahomes forgot how to play for one game. He couldn't be as effective because he didn't have enough time to throw. And by the way, it's not just that he didn't have enough time to throw. It's because look at the defensive pressure the Bucs put on him. What do you think's in the AFC North? I mean, you want to take, and that's the thing I'm laughing at when I see people in the chat section bring up, well, all they have to do is have an average offensive line. You want to have an offensive line against the Browns pass rush? You want to have an average offensive line against the Steelers pass rush? You want to have an average offensive line against the Ravens? Like that's what I can't wrap my mind around. I can't process that. And shout out to Matt who goes, pains me, Justin, but I completely agree with you. Why does everyone always say that? Why can't people just say I agree? It always has to say can't believe I'm saying this, or it pains me to say. But I don't care the feelings that it brings upon you. I'm just glad that you agree with me. I mean, there you go. So Jake Whiting did say if they draft Sewell that he will buy his jersey. So
nice.
I'm gonna. You better.
Good old number 53.
But no, this is why fans, again, like I said, this is why fans do not. This is why everyone's going to the wide receiver route, because that's who you're going to want to throw to when you play video games. That's whose jersey you're going to buy. That's who you're going to pick in fantasy football. No one's picking Penei Sewell in fantasy football. And the thing that you need to pay attention to is if you're going to be if you're going to be a Joe Burrow guy in fantasy football, I wouldn't pick Joe Burrow ever because I don't really think he's going to stay healthy long enough with an average offensive line. How about that? Media in Cincinnati urging the Bengals to go average. Go average. You just need an average offensive line. Actually, to be fair, their thinking is, well, we've been bad this long. I mean, hell, we'll take average. We'll take average. I mean, hell. So I guess I get it. A lot of big news out of the NFL over the last 10, 15 minutes. Breaking news out of the National Football League. And, of course, the timing could not be any more, well, I don't believe in coincidences. And apparently ESPN's Adam Schefter does report, and again, this is live on ESPN.com as well, that Aaron Rodgers has now look, we've felt for a while that there is some disgruntlement between Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. And I don't think, it used to be Kev. I just couldn't stand Aaron Rodgers, and I thought he was responsible for a lot of the issues between both parties. But then I see the Packers just do some really stupid things. Like, I'm getting mad at the Bengals for not doing everything they can to protect Joe Burrow. But they're at least going to, if they are stupid enough to not protect him in the first round, they're going to give him a weapon. The Packers don't even give Aaron Rodgers weapons. Now, I've always said, too, I think that Aaron Rodgers' biggest strength is also his weakness. His strength is that he can win with less talented guys. And when you win with less talented guys, I've used the real-life example of during this pandemic, I think some of us at our jobs have proven that we can excel at our jobs without all the resources that we used to have when the buildings were wide open, correct? Yep. And now what's happened is coming out of the pandemic, your bosses are probably telling you, hey, I know we used to have a budget for X, Y, and Z, and I know we used to have you used to have 3 or 4 people to help you with X, Y, and Z. But because you did such a great job over this last year of increasing revenue and blah, blah, blah. I'm not talking about us. I'm just trying to think of random everyday jobs. Because of that, because you did such a great job without any help this past year, we just don't see it. Actually, no, that's not what they say is we don't see it. It's, well, because of COVID and budgets, we can't give you the help anymore. That's what's happened to Aaron Rodgers. That's what's going to end up happening to Joe Burrow and others is when you excel with less talent, sometimes teams say, well, then, see, he doesn't even need that. Aaron Rodgers doesn't need that. Aaron Rodgers has one of the top wide receivers in football, don't get me wrong, but that guy was developed, right? He, it's not as if like they knew they were providing him with that weapon. It's always Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, guys like that. They have to win with average, if you want to talk average, and then they turn those average guys into great. And that's the problem, is those guys do their job. They uplift people around them. They take lesser people around them and uplift them to be great players. And then then those guys get punished. Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, these guys get punished. And then guys like me say, well, come on, Aaron Rodgers, you haven't been to a Super Bowl in 10 years. Russell Wilson, back-to-back Super Bowls. You haven't even sniffed the NFC Championship game since then. And it's not always their fault. It's because they have fallen victim to, well, you've been winning games in the regular season with less talent. Why can't you win with less talent in the playoffs? That's the problem. So Aaron Rodgers has been a victim of that. That's why he's the only offensive player since Aaron Rodgers was drafted by the Packers in 2005, the only offensive player that was drafted by the Packers since then was potentially his replacement in Jordan Love. And Jordan Love might be implemented into the offense a lot sooner than a lot of people anticipated because Aaron Rodgers says he does not want to return to Green Bay. Woo! Reigning MVP Aaron Rodgers, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, is so disgruntled with the Packers that he has told some and many within the organization that he does not want to return to the team. League and team sources have told ESPN on Thursday. Now, with stuff like this, teams have a airtight seal on news like this. When stuff gets out, it's because they wanted it to get out.
Right.
And I don't think the team wanted this to get out. I don't think the team put this out there. I think there's a particular camp that put this out there. And I think it's Aaron Rodgers.
Mr. Jeopardy himself?
What is genius for 300, please? Because I truly believe that this is on his side. Now, I think that the Packers actually have found themselves in a very good situation because if Aaron Rodgers really wanted to stick it to Green Bay, he could have announced this and leaked this tomorrow. He could have leaked this next week. I don't think it's a coincidence that it was just so happened to be leaked today. Now, me and you were arguing politely during the break. I see a scenario that could totally turn this draft upside down tonight that I'm really excited about. I think that if this is true, that the Packers cannot count, like they really cannot afford to sit back and, well, we hope we could patch things up. You're past that point. Like you were trying to convince yourselves that you had another couple of years with him to try to make it work. But now that this is out, I just look at it as if you're the Packers, you need to wash your hands of it. He's a very extremely good quarterback. They've done this in the past. They got, it's worked out for him. I don't think that's a formula to success by continually prematurely moving on from great quarterbacks, but it might be a situation that makes sense. I'm looking at a team like the San Francisco 49ers picking number 3. Mac Jones, Trey Lance. Can't believe they might pass up on Justin Fields. I don't think they should come away with any of them dudes. I think that the Green Bay Packers should start planning on who would they pick at number 3. The Green Bay Packers should start saying, okay, who can we have throwing the ball to our guy, Justin Fields? How about Trey Lance? Trey Lance looks good in green and yellow, right? Like we already know. So I think if you are the San Francisco 49ers, who are desperately looking for a quarterback, but they have a roster, Kev, that is built to win now. They paid a crap ton of money to bulk up that offensive line. They just went out and rebuilt that defense again. They have one of the best offensive-minded head coaches in football. They're 2 years removed from coming close to an overthrow away from winning a Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. I've always found it strange to me that the Niners were going to select a rookie quarterback and they would have success putting him in with all the veteran leadership around him. But I still think San Francisco would ideally love a superstar quarterback to put with the roster they have now. You put Aaron Rodgers with this San Francisco 49ers roster, it is going to be one hell of a stacked NFC division. I think the Packers should knock on the door or give a call to San Francisco and say, you want Aaron Rodgers? You already have a loaded roster. It's full of veterans. It's not very young to begin with. You are in a win now mode anyways. You don't want to risk the great players you have right now waiting to develop a quarterback. You give us the number 3. We'll give you Aaron Rodgers. I think it makes a lot of sense. Now, you disagree, and I'll let you share your point in a moment. But I just look at this and say San Francisco had to trade up to number 3. The number 3 pick would get Aaron Rodgers if the Packers wanted to move on, because then the Green Bay Packers can get their franchise quarterback now and move forward. Or they say, hey, we can get another impact player and go ahead and just, move on with Jordan Love and see what happens there. I think Green Bay should call the Niners, see if they would take Aaron Rodgers for that number 3 pick. And I think that San Francisco, they escape this, wash their hands of it. They don't have to develop Mac Jones. They don't have to wait for Trey Lance to figure things out. They don't have to wait for Justin Fields to all of a sudden apparently figure out how to throw a football that everyone's trying to convince us that he can't do, which we know he can. You get Aaron Rodgers, you get a veteran, you win a damn Super Bowl. But can you imagine Tom Brady against Aaron Rodgers in the NFC Championship game to see who goes on to face Baker Mayfield in the Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl?
We saw that last year.
I'm a big fan of the idea of this, Kev. Now, you disagree, and why?
I disagree. I mean, on paper, it sounds good. It sounds awesome. Obviously, you plug in Aaron Rodgers with any football team out there, you're automatically a contender because he's one of the best quarterbacks of all time. You just can't give up the 3rd pick for him. You can't give up the 3rd pick for a dude that's about to be 38 years old. If the 49ers were in the position before they traded up to the 3rd pick, I think they were like somewhere around I want to say 18 or something like that. I would be cool with that. But I'm not cool with giving up the 3rd pick overall for a guy that you're probably going to have to say 3 years, 4 years. Let's go on the high end. Let's say 4 seasons. Say Aaron Rodgers decides to play 4 more seasons. I can't give up the 3rd pick for that. Now, if we're talking about, okay, Green Bay dials the 49ers up and they're trying to play business and everything like that. If I'm the 49ers, hey, man, you can have next year's number 1 for Aaron Rodgers, because in that position, you're thinking you're going to be drafting 30, 31, 32 maybe, because you're the Super Bowl champions. Yeah, we can do that, but I can't give up this year's number 1 after I just mortgaged everything to jump up there right now. I can't give you this one, but we can dabble in the 2nd and 3rd rounds. Y'all can have a lot of those. Y'all can have next year's number 1, but you can't have this year's number 1. That's way too much.
Well, when you draft a player, you're drafting a player with the hopes of them leading you to a Super Bowl. So what's the difference of trading that? Now, again, you got Tampa Bay. I know they didn't give up a lot to get Tom Brady, but the thing is, they are going all out they're spending so much money that they're going to be in cap space hell here in the next couple of years, but they already have a Super Bowl to show for it. They might have 2, maybe even 3 by the time it's done. And you know what? Even if they are the worst team in football for 4 years after Tom Brady retires, do you think those fans are going to care? Do you think it's all going to be worth it? And I think that the San Francisco 49ers have their front office right now has to ask, we're going to mortgage our future, our long-term future, for the short term. And right now you have Nick Bosa. Right now you have a dominant defensive line. You have great secondary. You have one hell of you have one of the best offensive lines in football. You have great receivers. Aaron Rodgers makes them Super Bowl contenders right now, and the whole point of a draft pick is to get players that are going to help you, win. I think teams and I say this about baseball all the time, teams get so caught up in the long term that they don't try to win now. The Reds, I can't stand it. We don't want to give up prospects. We don't want to give up our farm system to go get a Francisco Lindor. Francisco Lindor and the Reds could have won now. They could have had a chance to win a World Series now. But because you wanted to stick to a lot of your younger players, now it's like you're hoping that they'd even develop to be half of him. So I think the 49ers have to ask themselves, okay, draft Trey Lance, draft Mac Jones, draft Justin Fields, develop him in the next year or two, and then have a long career with him. But then by the time we get to that, we're going to lose some of our key defensive pieces. The roster may not be as good 3 years from now as what it is right now. They are an Aaron Rodgers away right now from being Super Bowl contenders. They are not Justin Fields, Mac Jones, or whatever. And you win that Super Bowl, you could deal with the rest later. They have a good front office. They could find their way out of it.
But I think about it like this, though. Think about it like this. So if you do this magical trade to get Aaron Rodgers, you basically would have traded from the 12th spot. You would have traded your 12th pick this year, your third round pick from next year, your first round pick from 2023, and this year's number 3 for Aaron Rodgers. You're willing to give up all that for Aaron Rodgers.
In the famous words of Urban Meyer and my good friend Bobby Carpenter, charge it to winning. Yes, Kevin, when we're talking if the Niners were bad, and they had the number 3 pick and they were a few pieces away from being contenders, I would agree with you. But when you're one piece away, I don't think that's even, I'm not even thinking about those things moving forward, because you're going to have 2 to 3 years of guaranteed having a chance to win a Super Bowl. You're not guaranteed 3 years from now from being a piece away or two of winning one. I just think chalk it up to winning. If you get one Super Bowl out of this and then you find yourself in hell here in a couple of years of, oh my God, our roster is all depleted and everything, you got the Super Bowl and it's worth it. Like, how many of our teams would we love just like the Bengals would mortgage everything to win a Super Bowl for 1 year if it meant them being another 10 years of what they already are? The Browns would do anything to win a Super Bowl, even if it means, hey, you know what? We're going to be a mess again in the next 2 or 3 years, but we're going to go all out and get all these pieces in and try to do it. And that's what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are doing. To them, it's no big deal. They're overspending left and right.
But I think the biggest difference between them and the 49ers is Tom Brady was a free agent. You didn't have to give up any picks to get him. You could still build your team through the draft, and you got a lot of starters on that team that were rookies and young players, and he came to you as a free agent. You got to give up a ton. You already gave up a ton to get to the 3rd position already. So all the picks that you gave Miami, you're turning around and gave them to Miami so they can get better, and then you're giving up whatever you got in return from Miami to get Aaron Rodgers. So you're giving up twice as much.
You're getting Aaron Rodgers.
No.
You get a chance to win a Super Bowl.
You're giving up twice as much that you had to. If this deal would have been out there initially, yeah. But now you're giving up basically 2 trades to get him. I think it's a little too late for that. I think think it's already over. I think they've made up their mind to say, like, we're going to go after this with the young quarterback that they're going to draft in the 1st round. Like I said, if I'm the 49ers and Green Bay called, hey, everything's on the table after this year's pick. You're not getting this year's pick. You can have.
But the Packers don't want. The Packers, if you're going to lose Aaron Rodgers, you want a guaranteed franchise quarterback.
That's why it takes 2 to tango.
But that's what the Niners have what they want, and the Packers have what they want.
Nah, not the 3rd pick. I can't give you everything that I just gave up everything to jump up here.
It's not that much what they gave up, though.
Yes, it is.
To win a Super Bowl, that's nothing.
That is a ton.
To win a Super Bowl?
That is a ton.
There's never, to me, a price limit on winning a Super Bowl.
That is a ton of picks. That's a ton of equity. That's a ton of guys that you just gave away. You basically gave away 2 trades for 1. Like, I can't do that. I just couldn't do it if I was
a Bengals fan.
No, I've never been a Bengals fan.
So
Never.
You're saying the Niners should just go for average?
No, they're not. I mean, they made it to a Super Bowl with an average quarterback
and a great offensive line. And you know what? They win that Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers.
Probably.
Okay, so we could at least end it on that. But okay, enough of us babbling. Like, I'm curious, what are people's thoughts? What does this mean? Why did Aaron Rodgers all of a sudden leak this now? What should the Packers do? They have a quarterback in Aaron Rodgers that if you are, like, again, when you look at the draft order, okay, when you look at everyone who's picking tonight in the 1st round, I mean, look, Jacksonville, you know, them trading for Aaron Rodgers makes no sense. They're not Aaron Rodgers away from winning anything. The Jets, they're not Aaron Rodgers away from winning anything. The Falcons, they already have a very good veteran quarterback that they're going to be looking to move on from here in the next year or two. You know, the Dolphins, are they an Aaron Rodgers away? Maybe they look at number 6, maybe, just maybe. You know, the Patriots, maybe the Patriots give up their 15th pick, but see, I don't think the Packers like, well, there's no value at that 15th pick for what we really need right now. And And, Denver and Carolina are probably kicking themselves after, man, I got Teddy Bridgewater and you got Sam Darnold. If you would have just been a little bit more patient, you could have been in a position to maybe get Aaron Rodgers. This is going to be interesting to see how all of this unfolds. I think that the only team that makes sense is the Niners, in my opinion, just because of that roster. When you look at the Jets, when you look at the Falcons, you look at the Jaguars, none of those teams, the Bengals, the Dolphins, anyway, none of those teams are Aaron Rodgers away from winning a Super Bowl. The Niners are. And yes, they would have given up a lot, but they've given up a lot to draft Mac Jones. Like, if you're going to give up a lot and give up more than you need to get somebody, at least it's Aaron Rodgers and not Mac Jones. And the roster's set to win now. It's not like, 2-3 years from now, Trey Lance could develop to be Russell Wilson, but then your roster's depleted because, people move on and everything else. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But 457-9464. We're live on YouTube, live on Facebook. Give us a call or give us your opinion in the chat section. Should the Packers, is the number 3 pick worth it to give up to get Aaron Rodgers? And to Kev's point, not just that number 3 pick. Think of everything that they gave up to get that number 3 pick. 457-9464. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash when we come back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. The NFL Draft is finally here. No more mock drafts. No more speculation. No more arguing with your friends about which player each team should take. Tune in tonight at 7 p.m. for the ESPN Dayton Draft Special, presented by Frickers. Dayton's own Keith Byers will share his draft day memories, and the guys will break down each first-round pick live as they come in. It's the ESPN Dayton Draft Special, presented by Frickers. Tonight at 7 on 1410 Wing AM, and live on Facebook and YouTube.
Ready for renovations? Arts Rental Equipment has the tools you need to make your home, lawn, and garden stand out this year. From brush chippers to cutoff saws, no job is too small or too big. Visit your local Arts store today. Work smart. Rent from Arts.
Your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits is also the home for value. Frickers Everyday Value begins on Monday with boneless frickin' chicken wings, 69 cents each. Tuesday offers traditional frickin' chicken wings, 69 cents each. On Wednesday, enjoy a steak dinner for $6.99. And Thursday, frickin' chicken chunks for $6.99. Download the Frickers mobile app to receive loyalty points, free food, and order online. Today and every day, the home for everyday values is the home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be signs that your digestive system isn't working at its best? But taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil supports your daily digestive health using a special plant-based fiber called psyllium. Psyllium works by forming a gel in your digestive system to trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Metamucil's gelling action also helps to promote heart health and slows down sugar absorption to promote healthy blood sugar levels. Start feeling lighter and more energetic by taking Metamucil every day.
Maxwell, she was scratching and losing some hair. My vet, she says, oh, he must be allergic to chicken. Another vet said, eat the grain. Third vet said, it's the weather. Then somebody said, DINOVITE.com. It took 2 weeks, and the dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out. The Dinovite is a big part of Maxwell's diet.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Fox Tonight. Robert Smigel, the guy who created Triumph the Insult comic dog, will bring together the world's biggest stars. Look at this, kid stars. Did we mention they're all puppets? Is that our first question? It's the premiere of Let's Be Real, a weekly roundup of politics and pop culture, with puppets so famous we can't reveal them.
We're presidents. Laws don't apply to us.
How about to my dog? Let's Be Real premieres tonight at 9:30, 8:30 Central on Fox.
To all you do-it-yourselfers, get ready to welcome Fram into the fam. Because America's #1 oil filter brand now has their own new line of motor oil and fluids, and it's only at Advance and CarQuest Auto Parts. Stop into Advance and choose from 4 new Fram oil change bundles starting at just $20.99. They have the oil and filters you need to keep your engine running stronger, longer. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. See store for details.
Mark your calendars, folks. The Home and Outdoor Living Expo is here. Brought to you by Bath Creations, Weaver Barnes, and Giant Factory Outlet. Starting April 30th and May 1st and 2nd, and May 7th, 8th, and 9th at the Dayton Mall. 2 great weekends. Talk to the experts for all your home improvement needs, including kitchen, bath, sunrooms, windows, siding, home decor, and more. The Home and Outdoor Living Expo at the Dayton Mall starting April 30th. Brought to you by Bath Creations, Weaver Barnes, and Giant Factory Outlet. Visit eventsllc.net for more.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Welcome back to the quickest podcast ever, brought to you by Kohl's. Today's topic, Mother's Day. Just picking out some gifts at Kohl's. There's a KitchenAid mixer calling my name. Your name? Doing some self-gifting, huh? Nah, that's for my mom. Baking's her love language. Love that. The Fitbit, that's for me. Getting it for the self-care and the Kohl's cash. That's a big deal. So's the 20% off and free store pickup. I can get it all in less than an hour. Talk about shopping goals.
20% offer valid April 28th through May 2nd. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Allstate is known for quality insurance, but you might not know them for low rates. That's about to change. With Allstate, you can save up to 25% when you bundle your home and auto. You know what else you might not know? The chicken came before the egg. With Allstate, you can lower your rates, not your expectations. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company, Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company, and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Do you have a home improvement project? Use the right tool for the job and rent from Arts Rental Equipment. Arts has the best selection from power washers and ladders to loaders and dump trailers. Work smart. Rent from Arts.
Want to see your loan options, adjust payments, and closing costs online in real time? Rocket can. When you need certainty in the home buying process with a loan that fits your life, Rocket can. Rocket Mortgage.
Don't miss tonight's ESPN Dayton NFL Draft Special, presented by Frickers, live at 7 with Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, and former Pro Bowl running back Keith Byers. You can also watch it live on Facebook and YouTube. You want more local content from Dayton's ESPN radio station 1410 Wing AM? Make sure you subscribe to the WING 1410 Dayton YouTube channel, where you can watch all your local shows live or go back and rewatch previous episodes of The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, The Keith Byers Show, Talking Out Loud with Sully, and more. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
There's a lot of people out there that feel like
ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz is going to call into the show here in just about 5 minutes or so. We'll chat with him about some of the big headlines heading into tonight's NFL draft, and excited to chat with him. How about this? We could see a reunion between Urban Meyer and one of his favorites, college football quarterbacks, a quarterback that he won a national championship with. And we're not talking Cardale Jones, he didn't win one technically with JT Barrett, but technically JT Barrett was on the roster. He was just injured.
You just cannot stand
Tim Tebow. After retiring from his long minor league baseball career, Tim Tebow works out with Jacksonville as a tight end. And what's interesting is, coming out of college, there was many scouts who believed that Tim Tebow should have really tried to change his game to be a tight end, and he would have had a longer, more successful NFL career. It would have extended his NFL career. Of course, he chose to pursue baseball, but Tim Tebow, in the midst of working out with the Jaguars and potentially going to get a shot in Jacksonville, as he's working out and trying out as a tight end.
Good luck, Timmy.
Well, I mean, the thing is, Urban Meyer, he's playing off of Urban Meyer's loyal to a fault trait. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if Tim Tebow ends up on the Jaguars roster, even if it's a third string tight end or what have you, because Urban Meyer's going to be all about the locker room guys, having good leaders in the locker room, because that's always worked for him in the past. So I'm just, but I do find this interesting. And I don't think we would have seen Tim Tebow make this decision if Urban Meyer's not the head coach of Jacksonville right now.
Absolutely. He's talking to his former coach, and we all know Urban Meyer's super loyal guy. I just don't think you can play that in the NFL. There's a roster of only 53 guys. You got to have the best guys out there for the job. If Tim Tebow is not one of the best guys for the job, I don't think he'll be sticking around. I don't think the NFL deals too well with nepotism. Like, you can stick around with a team for a long time if you're a first round draft pick, but ultimately you end up getting cut like Dwayne Haskins when you're not up to snuff. And if Tebow's not up to snuff and he's not good enough, he's not going to be sticking around, I don't think.
Well, I mean, that's for anybody. Urban Meyer's not going to start a crappy player at tight end.
No, I'm just saying even on the team.
But Urban, I wouldn't surprise. But third string, it wouldn't surprise me at all. It makes an exception.
Third stringers
again.
Play.
But third string, I don't think Tim Tebow's going to be that bad. I don't think he's going to be that bad. I mean, I don't think he would. If he truly didn't believe he had a shot at this, I don't think he would try it at this point.
I mean, he's a supreme athlete. I'm sure he's going to look good in, shorts and T-shirts and out there running routes against air. But it's a different ball game when you've been playing a quarterback your entire life and say, all right, man, we want you to run button hooks and get drilled by a linebacker and everything like that. I just, if he's able to do that, more power to him. But I don't think that he should be expected to be like, oh, yeah, he's going to make this roster because he used to be the quarterback for Florida when Urban Meyer was there. If he,
I'm just saying that's why he's getting the tryout. Like,
for sure, he's getting the trial. And I mean, I don't have no problem with that. But we gonna see if he can hang on to the ball after getting crunched in practice.
We'll talk some NFL draft with Jason Fitz next.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Nissan believes you deserve a car that thrills you. So we have to ask, does your car thrill you? When you hit the pedal, do you get something back? A chill in your spine, goosebumps on your goosebumps. When you take off, do your fingers tighten around the steering wheel? Does your heart beat in your stomach and your breath catch in your chest? Does driving make you feel alive? Because it should. And if your car doesn't thrill you, ours will. This is the new Nissan.
How can I feel as good at the end of the day as I felt at the beginning?
The All-33 Backstrong chair makes it possible.
Well, how about tech that can triple the size of my monitor when I'm on the go?
With the Mobile Pixel Trio, it's possible.
How can my small business make a strong impression?
It's possible with the iPostal One virtual mailbox. Welcome to Staples Connect, a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or at staplesconnect.com. Staples Connect, the working and learning store.
Receive a $5 rebate by trading up any non-contact thermometer toward an Exergen temporal scanner purchased at any retailer. With COVID continuing to spread, nothing matters more than having an accurate thermometer that's backed by more than 80 published peer-reviewed clinical studies, like the Exergen temporal scanner. Even after getting the COVID vaccine, you should be monitoring for fever to make sure you are protected. Keep your family and yourself safe by trading up your non-contact thermometer for an accurate temporal scanner and a $5 rebate from Exergen, where accuracy matters. Details at Exergen.com.
Hustler Turf commercial mowers are built tough to work hard. Whether you need a fleet of mowers or are a one-man show, you don't have time for downtime. Hustler mowers are open.
With 11% off everything now at Menards. Get a clean edge around gardens and flower beds with Master Gardener Lawn Edging. It blocks the spreading of grass and weeds and is perfect for straight or curved edges. All lawn and garden supplies, including Master Gardener Lawn Edging, are 11% off. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through May 1st. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Receive a $5 rebate by trading up any non-contact thermometer toward an Exergen purchased at any retailer. Details at Exergen.com.
The Reds are on the radio.
Every hit, every strikeout, every Reds victory. You can catch all of the action all season long right here on Dayton's home of the Reds, 1410 ESPN Radio. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio. WYNG 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, we welcome you back. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Sommers and Orion Sports Medicine. We've had a big week. We've talked with a lot of guests throughout the week and excited to continue that. Again, NFL Draft tonight. We're going to have the ESPN Dayton Draft Special. Myself, former Pro Bowl running back Keith Byers, Kev Nash. We're going to be with you and giving you our live reaction to all the picks. But that's coming up later on tonight. Excited to talk NFL Draft with, well, a familiar voice on the show. We have Jason Fitz, ESPN Radio, hanging out with us. Jason, it's been a while. How are you?
Man, I'm doing great and just ready for this. It's about to be a marathon. I'll be hosting, obviously, on ESPN Radio on the simulcast on Saturday, but I'll also be on digital tonight and tomorrow. So we're in for some long nights coming. But, man, I love this. I love everything about the draft, so I'm all in for it.
You know, let me ask you, we talked to Trey Wingo earlier in the week, and obviously he's covered the NFL for a long, long time. You're very familiar with his work. And I asked about draft fatigue. It's like we love the draft, but I think I'm at a point, and a lot of people are, where we're just, okay, we're tired of the same regurgitated content. We're ready to just get to the draft. Where are you with that right now? What is that number one draft storyline that you're like, oh my goodness, I can't wait to never talk about this again. Let's just get to the draft and it'll all figure itself out.
Oh, I mean, absolutely the overvaluing of quarterbacks at this point, trying to justify why teams are going to do what they're going to. Like, this is just, I mean, it's maddening, right? And I will say this. I think what happened this year is that free agency didn't have the legs it usually had for NFL fans. So because there wasn't weeks post-free agency of talk about different guys that may or may not go different places, like it didn't have the same level of impact. So I feel like we switched the page to the draft earlier, and now as a result, we're sitting around saying, oh, my God, like, at what point is enough? And I'm with you on that 1,000%. There is some level of draft fatigue. But that being said, I think we're going to see one of the more interesting drafts we've ever seen. I wish we'd spent less time talking about quarterbacks for the last month and more time talking about opt-outs and how that's really going to impact a lot of teams' draft boards. And it makes it very uncertain who has value and who doesn't to different teams.
Yeah, we talked a lot about, we always talk a lot about quarterbacks, and we have all of our eyes locked in on the top 10 right now because we assume that the top 5 main quarterbacks we've talked about are all going to drop within that top 10 range. And for storyline purposes, if one or two slip out, hey, that's great for media, I'd tell you that much. But one move that happened yesterday that caught the attention of a lot of the NFL world, of course, the Denver Broncos making a huge splash with the Carolina Panthers, and they go out and, of course, they get Teddy Bridgewater. What did you make of that move when you first heard that yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, it's stunning to me. Like, it says everything that you know at this point about what they feel about quarterback evaluation, right? Like, so you've got to look at it and say, if you're the Panthers and you're trading Teddy Bridgewater, that makes sense. If you're the Broncos and you're trading for Teddy Bridgewater, it tells me two things. One, you probably tried to trade up and didn't have the opportunity to do it, or you've looked at these quarterbacks and said, I don't think we're going to get the guy that we really want right out of this class to fall to us. So I'm a little surprised, and this is the second move we've seen, before the draft. It surprises me a little bit. San Francisco, for example, trading up to 3, or even Philadelphia trading out of 6. Like, those moves to happen so early is surprising to me because we have no idea how the draft board's going to fall. Like, so if I'm the Broncos, what am I going to do now if for some reason, as dumb as this sounds to say out loud, if Justin Fields is still sitting there when the Broncos pick, I think he's the second best quarterback in this draft. If he's still sitting there, and the Broncos now put themselves in a situation where they value Teddy Bridgewater over Justin Fields, like, that's a little surprising to me. So it's a mega trade, and it tells you the Broncos want to win now, but I think it also tells you they don't think that a quarterback they want is going to be available for them.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question is did that move yesterday signify that both teams are set at quarterback, or are both teams saying, hey, we don't want to risk not getting the quarterback we want? Sam Darnold's our guy in 2021. Bridgewater's our guy in 2021. And if we get one of these 5 quarterbacks, then we're in good shape. We got a good veteran. But again, at least this gives those teams options. But you're right. If you were Carolina or Denver and there's Justin Fields right there, I mean, that's really going to create some angst within those war rooms rooms. I promise you that much. Real quick, while we're on the topic of Justin Fields, because Justin Fields, this reminds me a lot of last year with Justin Herbert. I actually really liked Justin Herbert last year. I wasn't saying he should be drafted ahead of Joe Burrow, but you could argue that if Joe Burrow stays healthy and Justin Herbert breaks all those rookie records last year, it would have been Herbert and Burrow both breaking the records each week, just passing each other. That's how good both of those guys were. But everything we're hearing about Justin Fields, it was the same things about Justin Herbert last year. We were just nitpicking every little thing about him, and look how good a rookie season he had. That could end up being Justin Fields. Why is it that Justin Fields just happened to be the punching bag for everybody this draft go round?
I honestly believe that he turned out to be the media punching bag, and I honestly believe teams don't see it the same way. And that's, I was talking to Ian Fitzsimmons a couple of days ago just about, the draft process, and I asked him about Justin Fields particularly, and Ian works in our college football space, but knows a lot of GMs, and he told me flat out that he talked to a GM of a team a couple of days ago that doesn't need a quarterback and said, why is Justin Fields falling? And that GM immediately said, whose draft board are you looking at that he's falling on? And it's not. It's that he's falling in our conversation. And the GM laughed at him and said, he's not falling on any of our boards. He's the second best quarterback in this draft, which only cements what most of the guys that I really respect around college football are saying. It's what I've been saying for a long time. I'm dug in on this. And look, the Jets might be in love with the concept of Zach Wilson because they love interesting arm angles because of Patrick Mahomes. I can get that. But the mistakes start, frankly, at 2, but they become really regrettable at 3 if all of a sudden Mac Jones or Trey Lance is taken ahead of Justin Fields. I mean, if Fields starts to fall in this draft, and if I'm Carolina, if at this point, if I'm Denver and I do have my quarterback, then I'm looking to trade down. And if I'm the Bears, I'm saying, I'll give you whatever you want. I don't care. I need a quarterback to save my job. So I think there's going to be a lot of activity for Justin Fields if he finds himself sitting there at 8 or 9.
One of my favorite stories, Keith Byers, who's going to be hosting our draft special coming up here later tonight, he was drafted in 86 by the Eagles. And one of my favorite stories that he shared with me was the fact that, during that build-up, he kept hearing how the Eagles didn't want anything to do with them. Buddy Ryan called him a medical reject. He wanted nothing to do with them. And then all of a sudden, the Eagles select him on draft night. And Keith goes, he learned that night that that's just how much of foul play goes on, where teams are just they're playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers.
Yeah, well, and it speaks to sometimes why we hear negative narratives around players is because teams want them to fall. I mean, if you're the Patriots, you're looking at it saying, great, if everybody else wants to be dumb and listen to the noise about Justin Fields, we'll take him gladly. I mean, that's where I think a lot of teams are. And, even teams that don't need a quarterback, I've said oftentimes, I don't think my beloved Raiders are in the quarterback market. But my God, if Justin Fields is sitting there, then they would be 1,000 times out of 1,000 because he is the second best quarterback of the draft. And if you end up getting that sort of value at quarterback, even if you didn't think you were analyzing the position, you'd be dumb not to.
ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz hanging out with us here on the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Again, NFL draft tonight, and we're really excited to finally get to this draft to put all these talking narratives to bed and, start with fresh new storylines tomorrow morning. Jason, you brought up your Raiders, and you brought up, the quarterback situation with the Raiders, and the big question about the quarterback for your Raiders is, how strong are they going to be up front protecting him? And we talk a lot of offensive line here in the Dayton area, a lot of Bengals fans. And the one thing I would have thought, if we would have rewind back to October and I would have told you or you would have told me that Bengals fans would be split and fighting and screaming at one another over the Bengals taking an offensive lineman or a wide receiver in the draft, I would have laughed and said, there's no way that anyone's going to want a wide receiver. But yet here we are. The Bengals have the number 5 pick. They have a quarterback that has a zipped up, banged up knee now. And they're actually considering potentially taking a wide receiver at number 5. Is that a smart move on their part? And are they an organization that has garnered enough respect around the league for people to trust that they're making the right decision here?
Yeah, and no. I mean, it's not a smart decision to take a while. I love Jamar Chase. We all love Jamar Chase. I mean, and I'll never forget, even if you're looking at Kyle Pitts, as high as that is for a tight end, I'll never forget asking David Pollack one day on College Football Live, how do you cover Pitts? And he laughed at me and said, you don't. It doesn't matter. And he can show you film where they tried to triple cover him and he still got the ball. So I understand how transcendent those guys are. But what you need to know is that the average of the first round wide receivers drafted since 2016, drafted all wide receivers, about 42 catches, about 600 yards. The average of second round wide receivers since 2016, about 42 catches and 540 yards. There is not a significant difference in production. And how much time did we spend last year yelling about Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb and Henry Ruggs III. And it turns out, by the way, none of them were the most dynamic rookie wide receiver. This is a deep wide receiver class yet again. It is not as deep at transcendent tackle. And Penei Sewell is transcendent to me. I mean, I don't think that there's even a question. When you have a shot at Penei Sewell, you take him and you keep your quarterback upright so that he doesn't get murdered every single Sunday. And you can address wide receiver in the second round. Frankly, this year, you can find a starter in the third round. So I think the Bengals' smart choice here is to absolutely go left tackle without hesitation.
Before we let you go, if you are me and you are taking the abuse from Bengals fans that I get, and when they say, well, there's plenty of offensive linemen, you can get them later in the draft. My thinking is no one plans to get talent later in the draft. It's like a cherry on top. You got to get the best players available in the first round. And to me, no one tanks to get third and fourth round draft picks. They tank to get the highest first round pick they can to get the best player available. I just don't think it's smart of the Bengals. They're not in a position to gamble with Joe Burrow. It's one thing if he doesn't go down and have a season-ending injury last year, but because we knew the line was bad and because he went down because of that line, I think it's absolutely crazy to even gamble and trying to get a guy later. Hell, they can't even figure out how to draft offensive linemen in the first round, and they're trying to tell the fans to trust them that they'll find him in the third and fourth. I just don't trust it.
Yeah, I'm with you. And look, interior line is way easier to find in the third round than in the first round, and all of this is a crapshoot anyway. So realistically, if I've got somebody that I have a ton of tape on that has been as productive as Sewell has been, it's not. There's just not a decision. You got to look not only at that, but like if you were playing Madden with these guys, look at the Madden rating of your wide receivers in the first round versus your wide receivers in the second and third round. Particularly coming out this year, there's not a tremendous difference in where these guys would rank. Jamar Chase, obviously, everyone thinks is going to be truly spectacular, but is there some massive difference that makes him the next Calvin Johnson? No. He's just the next very productive wide receiver that we've seen come out in the draft. I mean, and if you've got a chance to keep your quarterback protected, there's a reason why, if you look across the board at money being made, who makes more money, an epic star tackle or an epic wide receiver? There's a reason why wide receivers are put on the market. There's a reason that Julio Jones is being considered for trade. You don't win more games just because you have great wide receivers. You have to have a great offense where your great wide receiver can shine. And look at the Chiefs. They lost the Super Bowl because their offensive line was garbage in that game. You cannot risk your tackles.
Yep, and they didn't say, hey, let's just rely on the draft to get tackles and offensive linemen. They went out and they get Joe Tooney, and then they get Orlando Brown. They didn't take any chances, and that's what I wish the Bengals would understand. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. Always look forward to talking to him throughout the football season. Glad we got an extra stop with him here just hours before tonight's NFL draft. Jason, one more time, give everyone information on where they could find you tonight, as you're going to be not just busy tonight, but throughout the whole weekend for the draft in Cleveland.
Well, while they're listening to you guys, if they want to pull up their phone and look wherever they stream ESPN, and that can be YouTube, ESPN app, Facebook, any of those places, I'll be with a massive group tonight and tomorrow night on the digital side reacting to all the picks. And then Saturday, we'll be there again, but we'll also be on ESPN Radio giving you every pick with the simulcast. So great groups of experts, great fun. We're going to give you the same analysis you'd get anywhere else. We just might say a bad word or two in the process. So a much more casual way to ingest the draft, and we love doing it.
Well, our audience is no strangers to bad words who listen to my show, so there's that. I'm really disappointed I'm not getting that steak dinner. I'm still salty about the Chiefs, about the Browns not being able to beat Chad Henne of all people. I mean, it's just very disappointing that the Browns couldn't get it done. So there you go. But, yeah.
We'll find a way to get that steak dinner and make Mickey Mouse pay for it. That's my goal.
Mickey Mouse especially. Hey, Jason, take care. I know you're busy. Enjoy the draft tonight.
Thank you so much, my friend. Have a great week.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be cloudy with showers, a high around 70. Tonight's going to be mostly cloudy and windy, a low near 48. And tomorrow's going to be partly cloudy and windy, a high around 63. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather brought to you by Cullet Seal Coating, protecting the asphalt surfaces around your home, office, or commercial property. Crack filling, asphalt sealing, and parking lot striping. Find us at culletsealcoating.com.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
When it comes to starting your morning off right, Wendy's is always the best choice. And now that our sweet and savory honey butter chicken biscuit is only $1.99, you have no excuse to get your breakfast anywhere else. It's freshly prepared with sweet honey butter and all white meat chicken on a flaky biscuit. It's never been easier to steer clear of bad breakfast. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's and get the breakfast you deserve. The $1.99 honey butter chicken biscuit.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours. A la carte only. Not found in the combo.
O'Reilly.
Ready for an oil change? Our professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts recommend all the best products to get the job done right. Like 5 quarts of Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil on sale now just $28.95. And we'll make sure you have all the supplies you need, including a filter, funnel, shop towels, drain pan, and more. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Many Vietnam War veterans were unknowingly exposed to dangerous chemicals impacting their health and quality of life. There are now expanded benefits for veterans exposed to Agent Orange. Veterans with Parkinsonism, bladder cancer, or hypothyroidism who previously applied for VA disability compensation but were denied should reapply and might be eligible for retroactive compensation. Exposed veterans who have not yet applied should consider filing a new claim. For assistance, call Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801.
Fire threatens everything in its path. When it threatens our nation and our communities, we respond. We bring the fight to the front line. The Army National Guard stands ready to face the dangers of Mother Nature and protect our homes and our neighbors. We will always be there when your community needs us the most. Discover more about all the ways you can serve part-time in your community by visiting NationalGuard.com. Sponsored by the Ohio Army National Guard. Aired by the Ohio Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Need a U.S. passport? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. Visit one of our convenient auto title locations in Heber Heights, Clayton, downtown, Moraine, and Centerville. Make us your first destination before you travel abroad. No appointments ever needed. We do passports.com for more info.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage and Rocket Companies. Last year, we saw historically low mortgage interest rates. What you may not know is that interest rates are already starting to increase, and it's likely that trend is only going to continue. Our team of experts is standing by to help you save before rates go up. Don't look back and wish that you had taken action. Call 833-8ROCKET or visit rocketmortgage.com.
Rocket. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Panera favorites are hot and ready to serve for dinner. Taste our creamy mac and cheese served in a crispy bread bowl. Or the classic bacon turkey Bravo featuring our signature sauce. How about our new mouth-watering Chipotle chicken and bacon flatbread pizza? These and other favorites are waiting for you. Order dinner tonight for delivery or pickup. Only at Panera. Availability and pricing may vary.
Remember, customize and save with Liberty Mutual Insurance Company. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty. Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Sommers. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. college football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Fire Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, we are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, hanging out with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Sommers and Orion Sports Medicine. Lots to get into. Appreciate Jason Fitz hanging out with us today, calling us on draft day. Jason's actually in Cleveland right now, and the report from the draft is, well, it's really rainy, and between the COVID restrictions and the crappy weather, disappointed that Cleveland is not going to potentially get the biggest show tonight that everyone was anticipating. But of course, it is a long weekend, and I'm really pumped for this draft tonight. And maybe it's because one of the teams we talk about so much in the Bengals is in the top 5, but there's so many possibilities of not just player movement, but team movement. And that's what's going to be interesting about how all of this pans out, because when it's all said and done, you have a team in the Cincinnati Bengals who I really, like I said, I joked with Jason. I was like, a year ago at this time, not a year ago really at this time, but I guess back in October, the second that Joe Burrow goes down for that season-ending injury, I was like, well, that's pretty simple. They're going to have a very good draft pick. Penny Sewell's going to be most likely available. That's who they're going to take. I mean, they're going to address the offensive line in the draft, if not address the offensive line in free agency, because the other key thing is that the stars have aligned perfectly for the Bengals. If there is such thing as football gods, the football gods have said, okay, not only are we going to make sure that the number one player at the number one position that you need is going to be there, we're also going to have it lined up to where this is one of the deepest free agent offensive line classes as well. And it's going to line up perfectly with the Bengals having a ton of cap space. And what did the Bengals do? Not a damn thing. You go out and get a 1-year signee. That's it. You bring in one player for 1 year. That's not addressing your offensive line. And then I say, okay, well, maybe they're going to go the cheap route, but it still could be effective. They're not going to spend a ton of money in free agency, which is really stupid, by the way. They're not going to spend money in free agency to fix the draft or to fix the line, but they'll address it in the draft. And what do? They talk about taking a wide receiver. I feel bad for the people that have actually bought into the fact that the Bengals need a wide receiver. Now, you could say they do need a wide receiver. They've won 6 games in 2 years. Yeah, they have a lot of needs. But getting a wide receiver now does what for Joe Burrow now? I mean, big picture, because so when you're drafting tonight, when the Bengals are drafting and Jamar Chase's name gets mentioned, what Bengals fans, Kev, are thinking of right away is, oh man, these guys they're going to win a Super Bowl together. Mm-hmm. They're going to be on the receiving and connecting end of a lot of big plays throughout their careers. That's fine, but right now it's about piecing the team together to allow Joe Burrow to be around long enough for that to happen. And getting a guy that is not even going to be useful to you in the type of games you want until years from now at the expense of protecting your investment right now, I can't even try to relate to that logic. It just doesn't make any sense. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, they're going to connect on a ton of big plays. I have no doubt about it. But you can't get there until you protect him first. And I don't want to buy into the whole, well, you can get offensive linemen later, you can get wide receivers later. Last year, everyone was talking about CeeDee Lamb. Last year, everyone was talking about Henry Ruggs. Last year, everyone was talking, I just spaced on the big one. There was 3 big receivers last year.
Justin
Who were the
Jefferson.
big? No. He ended up being the big one, but he wasn't being talked about the way that the other receivers were. CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, and then, of course, the receiver for the Raiders that we just talked about. Those were the 3 big ones. Those 3 didn't pan out. This year, it's going to be someone like it always is that is going to take and dominate everything that we're not talking about. So you want to focus so much on the receiver, Jamar Chase. It's not going. I'm telling you right now, it's going to blow up in the Bengals' face if they go this route. It doesn't make any sense. It's the shock and awe pick. Oh, the fans are going to buy his jersey. You're going to play. You can't wait to use him in a video game. But overall, you're picturing Joe Burrow connecting with Jamar Chase. I'm picturing Myles Garrett connecting with Joe Burrow. I'm picturing the defensive line of the Steelers connecting with Joe Burrow. I'm picturing the Ravens. Hell, I'm picturing the guy that everyone's making fun of, Jadeveon Clowney. Jadeveon Clowney is going to put a hurting on Joe Burrow with that offensive line being the way it is. So this whole obsession with, well, they need a wide receiver. They have a lot of needs. You got to prioritize them. It just doesn't make any sense. I can't wait for this night to get over with so I can at least start ripping them for what they did instead of assuming what they're going to do, which I think I'm 95% sure they're taking a wide receiver at number 5 tonight.
I mean, there's so many rumors around there floating around. Is it going to be the lineman? Is it going to be the wide receiver? In about 5 hours, we'll know what they're going to do. The Cincinnati Bengals, they're known for big time wide receivers. I mean, obviously the ones that come to mind are Chad Johnson, but you got to think about Carl Pickens back in the 90s. He was a big time wide receiver. For a short stint, Peter Warrick was an explosive receiver for them. Obviously AJ Green. So the Cincinnati Bengals have had explosive playmaking wide receivers over the years. So I think the fan base just expects them to have another one, like they've had one every decade, a big time wide receiver. But you know what? You have big time wide receivers on your team. You have a good receiver in Tyler Boyd, and you're expecting, T. Higgins to blossom into a number one. And I just don't understand that people just don't get the fact that the game of football is won at the line of scrimmage. That is where it's won. It's not sexy. It's not the thing that we talk about all the time unless it's bad. Because when an offensive line is good, we don't talk about it enough. We don't care. We want to see the guys score touchdowns. We're not putting offensive linemen on our fantasy football team. It just is what it is. The big uglies don't get enough respect. But when they're bad, like the Bengals offensive line has been bad, they stand out like a sore thumb. So Bengals fan, take it from a guy whose offensive line is horrible. The Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line was horrible for the last 3 years. They're retooling it with minimal money. You had a lot of money. You chose not to retool it big time. You have a high draft pick, unlike the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can fix it. Don't let the Pittsburgh Steelers have a better offensive line than you when they don't have the draft pick or the capital to pay for it. That would be very embarrassing.
And that's what they're going to risk doing. And the one thing that I found interesting, you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, Kev, who have spent a ton of money. They have spent a ton of money over these last 2 off seasons. They made their quarterback the richest quarterback in the history of the league. All right. And they loaded up. They paid a lot of their key guys on defense. They brought back all 22 that's the Buccaneers, but they brought back all their main key pieces. So they lose their 2 key pieces on that offensive line. Okay. And they could have easily settled for, we'll fix it in the draft. But they look at this situation and say that Patrick Mahomes is so damn important to them. It is their number one investment. He is their number one key to success. All right. They have to make sure that they don't take a chance on protecting him, because the lazy way is saying, well, we'll just draft somebody. There's a lot of gambling in drafting. You are gambling every time. If your sole goal is, and especially when you don't have the resources, and that's what makes me frustrated about the Bengals, is they had the resources to go get proven veteran guys. Imagine how much better you would sleep at night knowing that the guys we just paid for, that they can do the job. You're hoping that the guys you draft can do the job. Right. Now you're probably saying, well, I mean, who's to say that you could count on Sewell? Sewell is going to give you the best opportunity of landing the highest percentage guy that's going to pan out. No, I mean, again, there's a reason all these guys are going to be pushed back to the second round. It's because they're not for sure home run swing and, knock it over the fence like Penei Sewell. That's why that's the only name that's being brought up in the top 10. No one's talking about Slater, who many people believe, because of the ability to be so versatile on the line, that he is just an equal to Penei Sewell. But we're still not talking about Slater. Sewell is the only guy that is getting that top treatment like all the top quarterbacks in the league, like the top receivers in the league. That's what's most important to me. So you look at Kansas City. They go out and get Orlando Brown. They go get Tooney. They didn't say, well, we already spent so much money on our roster that we're not going to spend more money. They spent $18.5 million on Joe Tooney, and then they go and give up a couple pieces to get Orlando Brown, and they're going to make him one of the top paid offensive linemen in the league here shortly. Like, the Kansas City Chiefs know the importance of their quarterback and the importance of protecting him. They don't say stupid things like, well, we don't need a great offensive line. We just need to be average. If that theory was actually legitimate, then the Kansas City Chiefs would not, after spending all the money they have over the last couple of years, they would not have traded for Orlando Brown. They would not have signed Joe Tooney. They would not have done those things. They would have gone the offensive, or they would have gone the draft route. And no, they said, we're not going to gamble on Patrick Mahomes' future by drafting prospects. We need to make sure that we have real dudes, real proven dudes that you know what you get when you get them. And so even for me, Penei Sewell, Someone called me out and said about 2 months ago I was anti-Penei Sewell. I was anti-Penei Sewell because I thought that the Bengals did not need to go the draft route to fix the offensive line, because all of the money that they had for free agents. So if they would have spent money on if they would have signed Zeitler, if they would have got Joe Thuney, and by the way, I hate when people say, like when we've had Bengals reporters on, well, that was a pipe dream. They were never going to get it. Why? Joe Thuney, there's reports out there that he wanted to play in Cincinnati. He wanted to play closer to home. And the only reason he's not in Cincinnati is because they weren't willing to pay him. Why? You had $40+ million in cap space. You couldn't afford to pay him. That it's not just paying him. When you look at Joe Thuney, you're looking at Joe Burrow. They go hand in hand.
Right.
When you look at Penei Sewell, you've got to think Joe Burrow. They go hand in hand. There is no in between here. There is no settle for less talented guys in the later rounds, and don't give me the whole. Well, they're getting first round grades. Okay, but you're talking about top 10. You have a top 10. You have a top 5 pick here. This isn't if the Bengals had the Browns pick, Kev, at number 26 or whatever, and then they were thinking about taking a receiver instead of a guy there because they would have a pick a little bit later and can get an offensive lineman, fine. Because the offensive lineman available at the end of the first round and in the second round, they're more similar. The gap between them is similar. The gap between where Penei Sewell is and the next guy that you're going to get outside of Slater in the later rounds, because Slater won't be available later.
Right.
That's the thing. You're going to miss out on the top 2 offensive linemen in this draft because you want to take a wide receiver. They should have spent their money on the offensive line so that they could have had proven veteran guys. So when I said I was anti-Penei Sewell 2 months ago, that's because I was under the impression that they were actually going to spend their money on proven grown men who have played the sport at the highest level, that know what they're doing, that would have guaranteed the protection of the quarterback. And then I was like, now that number 5 pick becomes fun. Now you could get Kyle Pitts. Imagine if they would have spent money on Zeitler and Joe Thuney, and then imagine if they would have used the number 5 pick to get a Kyle Pitts or a Jamar Chase with that offensive line. Now you have an average offensive line. If you're lucky, it's an average offensive line with Jamar Chase, and you're really not that much farther along than where you were a year ago. That's the concern I have as we head into tonight's first round.
Well, the good part about the Cincinnati Bengals is not only they're drafting high tonight, they also draft high tomorrow as well. So you can look at it as an aspect of you can fix your offensive line with the first pick tonight, and then grab a wide receiver tomorrow. And that receiver is going to be basically the 4th, 5th best receiver on the board. I don't think there's a big gap between the 4th, 5th best receiver and the number 1 receiver, as the wide as the gap is going to be between the 1st tackle and the 5th tackle. You know what I mean? So the talent gap between those 2 players are going to be light years with the offensive lineman. So you go with the O lineman in the first round, lock up your offensive line, and protect Joe Burrow and open up lanes for your running back. And then you go get another explosive playmaker in the second round. People acting like second round playmakers aren't there. There's tons of them out there. There's tons of guys out there that can be playmakers for your football team. And the Cincinnati Bengals, the fan base and the organization are enamored with the toys. The toys are cool. The toys are awesome. There's no doubt about it. The toys are the guys that, bring, the casual fans to the TV set. But the guys that actually get the work done are the guys up front, the guys that protect the quarterback and the guys that get after the quarterback and stop the run. So you probably want to protect your first round pick by drafting an offensive lineman. I would draft the offensive line. I know this is a topic that we're beating into the ground, but it's a very important topic because, as we try to remove our fandom hat, he's a huge Browns fan.
Yeah, I took my Bengals fan hat off.
He's a huge Browns fan. I'm a huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan, but I take that hat off and just say, what would this team be better at if they got the right draft pick? And that pick is the offensive line. So that's what you should do. Get the offensive lineman and take care of it. And, you ain't got to take it from, 2 dudes that never played in the NFL. Keyshawn Johnson's been harping on it for the last 3 weeks. Get the offensive line fixed.
Keyshawn Johnson has said, there's so many high-level media former players that are saying the same thing. We just had Ken Anderson on 2 weeks ago. Ken Anderson was adamant. Yeah, look, he likes Kyle Pitts. He likes Jamar Chase, but he said, it's so important to have the line. You have to have the line. That's Ken Anderson. That's one of your own Bengals fans.
So be the pick.
It has to be the pick. But for the sake of my 30 for 30, I really hope that they take Jamar Chase just so I could rub it in. But there's part of me that believes that they're not that dumb. That they're not. Some of the fans are a little loopy, saying, "Oh, I want a wide receiver." That's luckily you're not running a football team. I think the Bengals would be really stupid not to take Penny
I do want to hear from Cincinnati Bengals fans. What is it about T. Higgins that you're not seeing? What are you not liking out of T. Higgins? Or are you just thinking like, all right, we got T. Higgins, we got Tyler Boyd, we need a third guy? Is that what the
because apparently like
is?
85% of their offense, they run 3 receiver sets,
right?
And Jamar Chase is a perfect fit into the offense of Zach Taylor. But to act as if the only way that you are going to get a wide receiver is by drafting Jamar Chase, like Julio Jones was just made available through a trade. Is going to be made available through a trade. There's a ton of there's Godwin and a lot of great receivers available next year's free agent class. You can get great receivers in next year's draft. The other reason, and Bengals fans, hear me out on this. Everything I say, you just think I'm hating, but you got to understand your own owner. Your own owner has proven throughout history that he refuses to pay for offensive linemen. And this year is a prime example. You had $40+ million in cap space. Your quarterback, your new franchise quarterback that everyone is drooling over, has a season-ending injury. If that wasn't enough to scare him into investing financially into the offensive line, that should scare you for one. The second thing that should scare you is the fact that if it's one thing, if he's not willing to financially invest into it, the second best option is to get the best offensive lineman in the draft, and he's passing on the best offensive lineman. So not only did Mike Brown and that ownership, that wonderful, great ownership, not spend a dime, and by the way, I do not count the 1 year, the guy that they signed for 1 year. I don't care. Riley Reef, that's 1 year. Your goal is long-term. Long-term. That's why you want Jamar Chase, because Jamar Chase is long-term. But your offensive line, you're ignoring the short-term, and that's why Joe Burrow is going to have another season-ending injury or miss multiple games because of injury, because you're not willing to protect him. So the thing that's concerning is that Mike Brown has proven he won't spend money in free agency, and now he's saying, well, I don't value I value wide receivers. I value the awe. I value that more. That's concerning.
A lot of the fan base does too.
And that's where, and again, the fans are always going to have a different mindset than the owner, but the owner has to do what's best for the team. I'm not confident he's going to select Penei Sewell tonight because he's already shown that he's not doing what's best for the team, because if he did care what was best for the team, keeping Joe Burrow upright, he's running out of spaces on his knees to have surgery done. So he needs to make sure they protect him. It's absolutely ridiculous. By the way, Jamar Chase, everything that they're saying about him, I don't doubt one bit that he's going to be that good. It's just is it really worth Joe Burrow's health and future to select Jamar Chase? Like I keep joking around, but I'm being serious. Brandon Allen's going to love playing with Jamar Chase by week 6 if that's the route they're going to go. What?
Oh, nothing. Just checking my email.
More of the Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash when we come back. Don't go anywhere. More NFL Draft Talk. We'll also have our conversation with Trey Wingo when we come back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
First Florist and Greenhouses is celebrating their 116th year in business. Their garden center opens for the season April 29th and is full of beautiful garden plants, vegetables, and more. You'll be amazed at the quality and volume of plants in stock. The First family thanks you for your support in their 116th year in business at the same location, 1306 Troy Street in Dayton. Call them at 937-223-1213 or visit them online at firstflorist.com. That's FURSTflorist.com.
Hi, my name is Brian Sommers, and I'm an attorney with Kirkland and Sommers. We are a law firm dedicated to divorce and family law. We have 2 locations serving Miami Valley, one near Austin Landing and the other in Troy. Remember, we're not part-time divorce and family lawyers. We're full-time here for you.
Kirkland and Sommers, trusted and experienced, a family law practice dedicated to serving you. Visit them online at kirklandandsummers.com. That's Summers with an O, kirklandandsummers.com.
O'Reilly.
This is Derek's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
After the 3rd time jump-starting my car, I finally realized my battery was dying. So I stopped by O'Reilly to have it checked. They tested it right there in the parking lot. It was bad, real bad. But they helped me find the right battery for my car and even installed it for free. Now my car starts like new.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
just like your favorite hometown baseball team, your Enterprise Roofing team is all about protecting home. We've been locally owned and operated since 1926. So, for high-quality roofing repair and replacement services you can count on down the stretch, call 937-240-2206 or visit roofup.com today. Enterprise Roofing is a proud supporter of the Cincinnati Reds.
Hoffman Turf wants to enhance your property. Hoffman Turf, a locally owned company in Beaver Creek, offers professional lawn care, landscape maintenance, and weed and pest control. We understand your lawn is your investment and strive to give you the most value for your hard-earned money. Let us help you achieve a beautiful, thick, green lawn. Sign up today for fertilization and weed control and save 50% off the first application and 5% off the entire season when you prepay. Schedule today online at hoffmanturf.com. Hoffman Turf, professional, dependable, affordable.
Mark your calendars, folks. The Home and Outdoor Living Expo is here. Brought to you by Bath Creations, Weaver Barnes, and Giant Factory Outlet, starting April 30th and May 1st and 2nd, and May 7th, 8th, and 9th at the Dayton Mall. 2 great weekends. Talk to the experts for all your home improvement needs, including kitchen, bath, sunrooms, windows, siding, home decor, and more. The Home and Outdoor Living Expo at the Dayton Mall, starting April 30th, brought to you by Bath Creations, Weaver Barnes, and Giant Factory Outlet. Visit eventsllc.net for more.
Spending more time at home? There has never been a better time to invest in your home. There is nothing better than a home theater or high-fidelity music system from Audio Etc. Can't get to the big game? No problem. Audio Etc. can bring any game home. It's better than being there. 4K is amazing, but just imagine the 8K experience. Come to Audio Etc. today and experience 8K TVs and projectors. Surround sound? You haven't heard surround sound till you hear Dolby Atmos 360 degrees. Put you smack dab in the middle with 11.2 channel surround sound. Audio Etc. has the brands, the deals, and the excitement. Audio Etc. powered by Klipsch, Bowers & Wilkins, SVS, Marantz, Denon, Sony, and a whole list of high-performance brands that you've probably never heard of. Stop by and experience the crazy cool showroom, the top brands, excellent service, and knowledgeable staff. Audio Etc. 551 Congress Park Drive at the corner of Paragon in Centerville, or call 434-9770.
Audio Etc.'s crazy cool showroom.
Let's talk about your business. It's a rocket ship on a launch pad. But Houston, we have a problem. You can't launch because you're being grounded by messy spreadsheets and tangled systems you've long outgrown. In fact, if you're still using QuickBooks, you're spending more time putting out fires and pushing paper instead of growing your business. It's time for the right stuff. NetSuite by Oracle, the scalable solution to run all of your key back office operations. NetSuite gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need to grow, all in one place, instantaneously. And over 24,000 of the fastest growing businesses use NetSuite to automate processes and close their books in a fraction of the time. Days, not weeks. With NetSuite, you are ready for liftoff. Let NetSuite show you how they'll benefit your business with a free product tour at netsuite.com/radar. Schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/radar.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Are you looking for a quick and delicious homestyle meal your entire family will love? At Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, homestyle happens here with a 10-piece breast strip meal for only $19.99. Feed your family famously with 10 all-white meat breast strips cooked golden brown to perfection with 2 large sides and 5 fluffy biscuits. This homestyle family meal is what cravings are made of. Get a homestyle meal made easy with our 10-piece breast strip meal for only $19.99. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
Staples is evolving to Staples Connect, a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Sommers. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
So we're keeping an eye on everything. We're keeping an eye on everything going on regarding this Aaron Rodgers news. Aaron Rodgers, breaking news out of ESPN just about an hour ago. wants out of Green Bay, this time for real. There's been speculation for a while that things have been rocky between the sides, and the reigning MVP maybe the first NFL MVP to, be traded in NFL history. How about that? That's pretty dang unique. We've seen in other sports MVPs go on to win an MVP with one team and then go on to play for another team, whether it be free agency or what have you. But this would be a very unique situation. According to Trey Wingo, who we just had on the show yesterday or 2 days ago when we were on, Trey Wingo says, per sources, as of last night, Aaron Rodgers was convinced that he was headed to San Francisco. So again, I know we're on both different sides on that, but I do think that makes the most sense because teams right now, it's tough to get to the point. Like I think of the Cleveland Browns, best roster they've ever had since coming back to Cleveland. Not even close. I mean, there's never been a time where the Browns have been better than what they are right now since coming back. And they're going all in because they don't know when this might be the best roster Baker Mayfield ever plays in. If he plays another 10 years, he may never play on another loaded roster like this again. And the Browns know that. So if the Browns, the reason they're going all in is because they don't know if they'll ever have a roster this stacked again. And the Niners could be saying the same thing. I mean, that organization that I know they're just freshly coming off the Super Bowl appearance from 2 years ago, but it's that same roster and it's 2 years removed from that. That means you're 2 years into this roster, which means you're about to lose a lot of guys. Even if they have to unload a lot to get Aaron Rodgers, if it means getting a Super Bowl, then you can collapse. I mean, hell, we've seen the Marlins do this in baseball all the time. We saw the White Sox do it. You win a World Series, all right, send everyone out, rebuild, start over, do it all again. It's not the most ideal, but I do know that fans would appreciate it. If I'm a Browns fan and the Browns said, you know what, and I'm a Baker Mayfield guy, but if the Browns said, you know what, we'll take Aaron Rodgers, we'll give up whatever we have to get Aaron Rodgers to go all in. You have Baker Mayfield set to be a young quarterback. You have your quarterback for the next 10 years. You waited 20 years to get a Baker Mayfield. But if it means giving up your 10-year quarterback to get 2 to 3 years of Aaron Rodgers and a Super Bowl, they'll do it in a heartbeat. So I do think it's that. It's what are you willing to get? If it's charging it to winning, Super Bowl is everything. You'll deal with the repercussions later. I think that's what's going on here. I wouldn't be surprised if that ends up being the case today.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, that's his hometown area and everything like that. He's from California, so the San Francisco 49ers make a lot of sense for him, make a lot of sense for them. I don't mind the trade. I don't see the trade not happening, but I'm just harping on that third pick. Just something about giving up so much to jump up there to make the moves that you thought you were going to make and then have to give up that third pick and basically give up so much for Aaron Rodgers for another, like you said, a 3-year window. I got you. It's something about that third pick. It is not, I harp on the third pick, but it's so much that you gave up to get to the third pick as well. So you're not only losing the third pick, but you're also losing everything you traded to get up there for him. And it's for a great maybe. He's one of the best ever. I'm not sure if I would be willing to roll the dice like that.
Well, it's only rolling the dice if your roster's set. Like, for instance, I've said this, the Jaguars giving up everything that the Niners would have to give up to get him. That's way too much to get a 3-year quarterback when you're so young and you don't have anything in place, you don't know who you are. The Niners know who they are. Yeah, they might be overspending to get him, but to them, it's worth it. You'll overspend if it means getting the product that you really, really want. If you're not ready, like if I'm just coming out of college, I'm not looking to go buy a $300,000 home right out of college. Sure, I really, really want it. But, about 5 years out of college, you're well into your career and you have money set aside. Now, you're willing to overspend to get that house because you're in position to do so. Jaguars aren't in a position to do so. The Jets, not in a position to do so. Dolphins, maybe. They're like that 1 year out of college where maybe. But no, the Niners.
The job.
Yeah. So because the Niners are so close to the finish line, it appear to me as giving up as much because, hey, you're giving up a ton, but the result's right there. So for the Jaguars, you're just hoping that you would build around a guy like Aaron Rodgers in 3 years, and that wouldn't be the case. We're getting a lot on Facebook regarding our conversation about the Bengals a little bit ago. See, these guys want to talk about it. Oh, no. I talk a lot about it, but hey, this is it's going on 5 o'clock here. And this is the last opportunity I have I have 1 more hour to really rip into the Bengals a little bit for assuming they're going to make the wrong decision. I haven't really thought about what I'm going to do if they do take Penny.
Yeah. What are you going to do then, Kenner?
I have no clue. I would be very shocked. I'm going to practice. I will do this if they make the right decision. I still think they're fools. They should have spent money on the offensive line, but they've already screwed that up. So it is what it is. But this is the smart decision if they do that. But on Facebook, What was I going to say? So hold on. Where did this guy go? I've got to find this. So, Tommy Pennington, games are won in the trenches. Tommy says, I'm a diehard fan for 40 years. Mike Brown is a joke. We can agree on that. Bengals fans, I've been harping on you, but I feel like you're starting to come over to my side now. I mean, earlier, Matt Sturgeon, who usually is anti everything I say, he said it's painful to say, but I agree with Kinner. Keith Tolliver says, here, dumbass Bengals fans, is what you should do. I didn't call you that. That was him. I didn't say that. I just read it. But he says you should draft Sewell, and then you take the tackle from Texas, then you draft the other guy from Marshall, and then from LSU, and then you just take every lineman you can until they it's just throw the noodles against the wall and see what sticks. Yeah. That's exactly I think that's a little extreme, but I see your point. Chris W. on YouTube, he says, keep in mind Jonah Williams he's only played in 10 out of 32 games.
Ouch.
And then my favorite response, and it's my least favorite, but that's what makes it my favorite. Marvin Gordon says, it's a smack in the face to the linemen that are already there. Huh? And the free agents to draft that high overhyped linemen. What about the kid from Northwestern? Plus, Sewell is just one player. He's going to play every spot on the line, go deep. I didn't understand what you were trying to say in the back end, but look, first of all, Look what happened. Look what's happening with Aaron Rodgers. That's a guy that deserves to have a team tiptoeing on eggshells to make sure that he's extremely happy. And they didn't do it, and that's why he wants out. But if they did bow down to every demand that he had, you would understand why. This group of offensive linemen, I would try to make them all cry. I don't care about any of these guys. These guys are trash. These guys almost got my franchise quarterback killed last year.
I'm not understanding what he's saying. A slap into the face to the current offensive lineman. Is it a slap in the face to Billy Price that it didn't pick up his fifth-year option? No, Billy Price wasn't playing up to snuff.
Which is a slap in the face to the Bengals.
Yeah, so if you're not playing up to snuff, you get replaced. That's how it is in the NFL. That's how it is in all sports. And when you stockpile talent, there's more than just talent at the skill positions. There's talent at the offensive line position. There's talent at the defensive line position, the big uglies. So you stack your team with a ton of talent. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys back in the 90s when they had the triplets with Troy Aikman, Irvin, and Emmitt Smith and those guys. But the real MVPs of that team, the real MVPs of that squad were the offensive linemen. Larry Allen, Hall of Famer. Like guys opening up lanes for them to run the ball through, opening up passing windows for Troy Aikman. You know, those guys don't do all those miraculous things. Emmitt Smith doesn't become the all-time leading rusher if he doesn't have the best offensive line in NFL. So you got to pay respect to the offensive line. And if the offensive line you currently have isn't doing their job or isn't playing up to snuff, you get replaced. Like, what's the acronym for the NFL? It's not National Football League. It's not for long, especially if you're not playing well. So I'm not here to be talking about nobody's feelings. Hey, man, you just got a franchise quarterback. Let's protect him now. Let's protect him. Let's make sure he stays upright. Let's make sure he's able to be our franchise quarterback. Let's make sure he's able to be here for an extended period of time. Let's not make sure he gets another broken leg or something bad happens to him and he's concussed or anything like that. Or for worse sakes, let's not make sure he says, I don't want y'all fifth-year option. I want to be traded. You know, that's always on the table, too. If he plays up to snuff and pulls a Deshaun Watson and said, I don't want to be here. I want out of here. Like, that can happen, too.
If you're unemployed and you're looking for another job, let's say you go to Columbus and buy an apartment. Oh, you got a job in Columbus? No, I'm just getting an apartment. But what if you get a job? What if the job you applied for in Cleveland hires you? Now you bought an apartment for no damn reason. Like you got to do things that make sense. You got to prioritize what you're looking to do. You don't just move somewhere unless you have a reason to move somewhere. You don't paint your car that doesn't run. You know, if you're going to invest money into making your car look better, you better make sure the damn thing runs. Otherwise, it looks good, but it's not going anywhere. And that's what Jamar Chase is going to be for the Bengals. Sure, he looks good alongside Joe Burrow, but they're not going anywhere with Jamar Chase. At least right now, you got to get that offensive line. That is the most important thing. And I can't wait to get to a point where I don't have to say that anymore. But Bengals fans, this is why you need to be putting pressure on your team more. If you're irritated with me saying that over and over and over, the quickest way to get me to stop saying that is for the Bengals to get an offensive line. Chris on YouTube says, new stripes, same old Mike Brown stupidity, building outside in versus inside out. Gee, I wonder why they haven't won a playoff game in 30 years. Exactly. Cleveland just won their first playoff game and, just against your Steelers, right?
Unfortunately.
And now I figured out why you were anti-Tim Tebow earlier, because I forgot Tim Tebow beat you guys in the playoffs as well. So
It ain't no anti-Tim Tebow. Ain't no anti-Tim Tebow.
You were hoping he was tied in back when they played you, because then you guys would have beat them.
Hey, man, he didn't listen to the critics, and he got him a playoff victory. Tim
Hallelujah.
Tebow.
He did what he had to do. So there you go. Tom on Facebook says, I'm drafting 3 rounds for Sewell, then another lineman and another. Look, I'm not even saying to go that. I mean, I think you need 2 linemen out of this. I still think they've screwed up. Sewell is not going to patch everything up, but Sewell is that long-term edge. I like Jonah Williams, and I like Sewell. If that's the only 2 that right now are really you're going to build around moving forward, Hopkins.
Yeah.
So you have Trey Hopkins, you have Jonah Williams, if he could stay healthy, okay? Because keep in mind, he missed his full rookie season, and then he only played in 10 games last year, so there's that concern. But if you have Trey Hopkins in the middle, and then, of course, you have Jonah Williams, that's a very good that's a very good core to at least start building around. And then you have a long-term plan for Burrow. Riley Reef for 1 year, by the way, who had one really, really, really good year last year. Capitalized on that, got a good little check from the Bengals. There's a reason he wouldn't marry the Bengals long term. He didn't want to, because he knows that at that position, if he has another killer year, Kev, this year, now all of a sudden his value is going to go through the roof, and now he's going to be in position to get that Trent Williams money. Now he might be in position to get that Jonah Williams money. He's not in that position now after one really dominant year, so that's why he went to the Bengals for one. The Bengals, and by the way, I still feel like the Bengals panicked when they signed him. For instance, the Bengals didn't know who they were going to draft yet, but they knew there was a chance they can get Penei Sewell. Why would you sign that guy to that position for 1 year? The guy you signed to that position for 1 year has now become a roadblock to your mindset of, well, we don't need Sewell because we signed Riley Reef. You have him for 1 year, and then he's gone after that. Because if he performs really well with Cincinnati, everyone's like, well, see, that was a good signing. No, because he's going to perform really well for Cincinnati, and then that's going to make it back-to-back great years, and then he's going to put himself in position to make money. Mike Brown has already proven with cap space he will not spend on linemen, so he's as good as gone after this year. Or if he's really bad, they're not going to bring him back. So Riley Reef is 1 year and 1 year only, no questions asked.
Or if he does play well and they actually do end up paying him, you pay him big bucks to a position that you could have had somebody on the rookie contract.
I was about to argue with you, but you know what? That's a very good point. I just say they're not going to pay him because they've already proven they won't pay. But you're right. If they did go that route, so now you overspent for a position that if you would have just signed Penei Sewell at a rookie rate, now that money could have been allocated elsewhere, maybe to sign a legit free agent wide receiver that can now give you what you were looking to accomplish. I just think that, yes, they may have a need for a third receiver or the number 1 receiver, but you have receivers. It's not like you have crap. It's not like you have no weapons. Weren't you just bragging a year ago about the 300 yards a game? Look at all the yards he's throwing for. You can't do that we can't do that with scrubs.
Right.
Can't do that with scrubs. All right, hour 3 coming up. This is a question for us to answer on the other side. I'm trying to figure it out. Okay, so Keith Tolliver wants to know from us, Kev. From me, he wants to know, who do I want the Cowboys to draft as well as the Browns? And he wants to know for you who the Steelers should draft, our teams. And I'm glad you asked that, because we do spend a lot of time on the Browns and the Bengals, but there's a lot of fans of other teams outside of those two in the chat section. We're on Facebook. Search The Justin Kinner Show. You can also go to ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. That's where a lot of you are hanging out right now. Let us know in the comments section your team. So tell us who your team is and who you want your team to draft. Even if you're a Bengals or Browns fan, I want to hear from you as well. Who do you want your team to draft? It's a very simple, generic, not really, being creative with this conversation here, but I am curious people's thoughts as we head into the first round. The first pick will be made in 3 hours from now as the Urban Meyer era officially begins with his very first draft pick. We'll be back, hour 3 next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Nissan believes you deserve a car that thrills you. So we have to ask, does your car thrill you? When you hit the pedal, do you get something back? A chill in your spine, goosebumps on your goosebumps. When you take off, do your fingers tighten around the steering wheel? Does your heart beat in your stomach and your breath catch in your chest? Does driving make you feel alive? Because it should. And if your car doesn't thrill you, ours will. This is the new Nissan.
How can I feel as good at the end of the day as I felt at the beginning?
The All 33 Backstrong chair makes it possible.
Well, how about tech that can triple the size of my monitor when I'm on the go?
With the Mobile Pixel Trio, it's possible.
How can my small business make a strong impression?
It's possible with the iPostal One virtual mailbox. Welcome to Staples Connect, a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or at staplesconnect.com. Staples Connect, the working and learning store.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Your home for fun food, sports, and spirits is also the home for value. Frickers Everyday Value begins on Monday with boneless frickin' chicken wings, 69 cents each. Tuesday offers traditional frickin' chicken wings, 69 cents each. On Wednesday, enjoy a steak dinner for $6.99. And Thursday, frickin' chicken chunks for $6.99. Download the Frickers mobile.
Planes. That's right. Round trip, get paid for all miles, 100% no-touch freight. Cordell is offering great pay, a discounted fuel program, and free on-site truck parking, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus per truck. Take advantage of the dedicated round trip miles, sign-on bonus, and home every day or every other day. Go online to CordellTransportation.com to apply today. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Audible Plus is everything you want to hear. Listen all you want to thousands of select originals, audiobooks, podcasts, and more. Sign up for a free Audible Plus trial at audible.com.
There are many ways to catch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. You can catch it live right here on 1410 Wing AM, or you can stream the show at wingam.com. But now we have another way that you can take in the show. You can now watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com. WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's live, it's local, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Sommers.
All right, we are back. Sorry about that. We jumped out of the live Facebook and YouTube feed, but we are back off and rolling. We have our ESPN Dayton draft special tonight. College Football Hall of Famer, former 13-year NFL vet, Pro Bowl running back Keith Byers. He's going to come and hang out with us for 2 hours tonight from 7 to 9. It's our ESPN Dayton draft special. So that is tonight at 7 o'clock, and we're really looking forward to that again, because for the first hour, we're going to, again, just all draft talk, get built up again. We're going to talk about Urban Meyer and the Jacksonville Jaguars, the build to the Urban Meyer era in Jacksonville and the NFL. Will it work? We'll talk about Keith Byers, his draft back in 1986. You want to talk about how times have changed. 6 running backs, Kev. One of those 6 was a fullback, but 6 running backs were taken in the first round in 1986. Keith Byers, one of them.
It ain't like that no more, man.
No.
It's kind of how Trey Wingo was talking about the running back position's devalue. He said he wouldn't even take a running back in the first round. You think about guys like Saquon Barkley, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You know, those are the guys that have gone in the first round the last couple of years. Zeke, but you know, the position, there's a lot of guys that you can find in the later rounds that can make an impact for your team. You know, that second round seems like to be the sweet spot for running backs now. You know, you got Jonathan Taylor went in the second round, Cam Akers went in the second round, J.K. Dobbins, I believe, went in the third round, making big impacts for their team. So, you know, there's a lot of guys out there that play the position.
Dobbins and Jonathan Taylor dropped. There were some other running backs.
Right.
Excuse me. Sorry about that. There was some other running backs that went off the board that I was like, man, I thought for sure. Like I thought, and then who did Kansas City? Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Of course, they ended up
the last pick of the first round,
and that was huge. So I disagree with Trey Wingo on the aspect of never draft a running back in the first. When you're picking 28, 29, 30, 31,
Luxury
32.
pick.
I think those are the teams that, man, if I can add another dynamic running back to my offense, when you're Kansas City, of course, that actually worked out for them because they had their running back opt out because of COVID, and they didn't plan on him opting out because of COVID.
Right.
So that ended up being a blessing in disguise for both. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had a very up and down season. But there's guys like Travis Etienne this year. There's really good running backs that, you look at the fact that the Buckeyes have a running back that we didn't think, and Trey Sermon, we didn't think he was going to be an NFL type running back, but, he had a monster second half of the season for the Buckeyes, would have obviously made a huge difference in the national championship game. Me personally, I disagree with anyone. Like Ohio State was not Trey Sermon away from winning a national championship. I think it would have maybe changed the dynamic of the game a little bit. It would have made the offense kind of settle in a little more. But nonetheless, Trey Sermon can have a great career as well. So we were asked before the break, I believe it was Keith Tolliver on here. There it is. He wanted to know, who do I want to, again, I'm a Cowboys and a Browns fan. Yes, I know. I get made fun for it all the time. He wants to know, for me, who I want to see my Cowboys and the Browns draft. He wants to know, for you, for the Steelers. I'll start with the Dallas Cowboys, who sit at number 10. I know there's a lot of talk about Patrick Surtain III. They need a corner, but they're one of the worst defenses in the NFL. They were were they the worst? They were they gave up a ton of points. You had Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys offense, who were well on their way to outpace. They were well on their way to being the most explosive offense in NFL history last year. Would they've been able to sustain that same level of attack all 16 games? Probably not. They were also loaded. I mean, the stats were being kind of jumbled or being really blown up because of the fact that the Cowboys were down in so many games. They were being forced to go for those big plays late in games. But they have a lot of holes defensively. And for me, if they are one of the biggest or teams that are in need of defensive help, I don't know how yes, Patrick Surtain's great. That's what Brian Staley on Facebook says. He goes, Justin, take Surtain. Kevin, take linebacker from Notre Dame in a moment. But if you are desperate for defense, and there's so many holes on defense, you could take one of the best corners, yes, or you could take the best defensive player as a whole in Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is who I would take if I'm the Dallas Cowboys. I know they have a couple linebackers, Van Der Esch and some guys, but Micah Parsons, man, I've been a big fan of his for a long time. I was bummed that he didn't play for Penn State last year, and coincidentally enough, one Penn State linebacker just retired from the Dallas Cowboys, and Sean Lee replaced him with Micah Parsons. I think that's great. As far as the Cleveland Browns are concerned, they're kind of picking back in that luxury pick range as well. But the Cleveland Browns, they still have some needs they need to address. They're still looking for that dynamic pass rusher. I think they've done a good job of addressing that. With Jadeveon Clowney on an $8 million deal, up to $10 million with incentives. They've added, some other key pass rushers, but no big name. I mean, I think Clowney's name is bigger than his actual production, but if he ends up panning out to what his expectations are, the Browns could be in for a treat. But they need another pass rusher. They need a linebacker to me as well. If I'm the Browns, you're pretty set at everything. Now you're just drafting for depth at a lot of positions, which I'm not saying you don't need these later round draft picks, but if you could find a way to move up, if Micah Parsons keeps dropping back and back, and you could find a way to trade up into that 14, 13 range, Kev, if I'm the Browns, I do everything I can to try to move up to potentially get Micah Parsons. You put Micah Parsons in that Browns defense with the great secondary that they just built. Now you have Myles Garrett, who has a complimentary piece on the other side, and Jadeveon Clowney. I would be a huge fan of my Browns or the Cowboys doing everything they could to get Micah Parsons. If the Cowboys go secondary, I think the Browns could sit back, be patient to see how the top 10 pans out. But if Micah keeps dropping, if I'm the Browns, I do everything I can to move up and get him, because that's the one position the Browns need an impact player, and I think they would be very, very well set if they could find a way to get a dynamic linebacker like that. Zaven Collins is the other one I'm seeing a lot of in mock drafts as well.
Whoever gets Micah Parsons is going to be very happy. He's a dog.
It reminds me of the Bush pick that when the Steelers moved up a couple years ago, the Dwayne Haskins draft, when your Steelers moved up, and everyone wasn't sure what the Steelers were going to do, because the Big Ben conversation has been going on for a while. There was talk of, Dwayne Haskins looks like Big Ben. He's a big body. And then the Steelers moved up to the pick right in front of Cincinnati, and there was still debate on whether Cincinnati was going to take Jonah Williams and take an offensive lineman, or would they go for Dwayne Haskins, the Ohio State quarterback. Well, that's where the intrigue really picked up. Pittsburgh moved up. They picked, I believe, to number 8, and they ended up taking Bush from Michigan. Woo! And I was pissed that you guys got him because I'm like, the Steelers' defense was already good. Now that's a legit guy that they just dropped right, and they're already stacked to defense. That's what I could see if Cleveland could do. Cleveland's just so far back that I don't see them being able to just swap. If they were picking at 18 or 19, I could see them moving up a couple, and it wouldn't impact the teams they trade with. I don't know many teams in that 12-13 range that are looking to trade all the way back to 26. Yeah. But that's why I said you're drafting for depth the entire draft. If you could package a 3rd and a 4th to move up to get Micah Parsons, to get the best defensive player, if I'm Cleveland, I find a way to make it happen. What do you got to lose? You don't have many weaknesses. Linebacker's one of your bigger ones. If you could package up some late round picks to be able to move up to get him, I think that that's a home run. I think it's a long shot, but I really hope that that's something that they're entertaining.
Yeah, I know I've seen a lot of Zaven Collins for the Browns. I'm not going to sit here and act like I saw a lot of Tulsa football.
You're not a Tulsa fan? You know what Tulsa spelled backwards is?
I'm not going to.
Get her done.
Oh, good.
You don't?
No.
Tulsa spelled backwards.
I'm not playing with you.
Here, I'll spell it out for you.
I'm not playing with you, man. I'm not playing with you today.
Don't say it on the air. But
I'm not. I figured it out in my head. That's why I'm not playing with you. No, the one thing I wanted to ask Browns fans, if they end up drafting Collins. Yeah, I know. I had to.
Oh, wait, it's facing the camera.
Yes. So, Collins, he weighed in at 270 pounds at linebacker.
Whoa. I think the Bengals need to draft him on that line. 270?
270. Now, he ran a 4.6 for what it's worth, and he's a very good coverage linebacker. He had like a pick 6 to go like 90-some yards. So, obviously, he can move. I just, like, man, like, is this a 1950s middle linebacker situation? Is it like that's like how they were built back in the day?
You gotta get the big neck rolls.
Like yikes! Like that's scary.
That's Keith Byers.
That is scary, man. So shout out to Javen Collins for being able to carry that weight and still keep that speed. For my Pittsburgh Steelers, I'll give you 4. I'll give you 4 guys.
You said 270, right?
270 pounds, ran a 4.6, 6'4".
Yeah, Keith Tolliver, he says 270. Holy bleep.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Like I don't even know what to make of that. Playing linebacker. As for my Pittsburgh Steelers, in the first round, I would like to see them, if he's able to come to them, Najee Harris. I flip-flopped on this a lot. I was saying that I wanted a linebacker at this position to play that other outside backer position. But since we are one of the teams in the NFL that still run a 3-4, there's not a lot of 3-4 outside linebackers out there. There's a lot of conventional linebackers that really don't rush the passer like that early, rated that high in the draft. So I've conceded to the fact that I want the Pittsburgh Steelers to go ahead and get Najee Harris. Najee Harris can be an explosive running back for us, not only in the running game, but in the passing game. He proved this past season that he's able to catch the ball out the backfield and pick up the blitz for Alabama. So him adding that to the Pittsburgh Steelers offense would be ideal. In the second round, we got to address the offensive line. Now, we address the offensive line through free agency, with guys that are on 2-3 year contracts for not a lot of big money, not big names, but guys that are serviceable in the league. I expect the offensive line to be average this year. But the Pittsburgh Steelers need a center for the future. And that center that I want for the Pittsburgh Steelers is a center that has had multiple Heisman Trophy guys on his team. I'm talking about Cade Humphrey, the center from Oklahoma. He snapped the ball for Baker Mayfield. He snapped the ball for Kyler Murray. He snapped the ball for Jalen Hurts. He snapped the ball for Spencer Rattler. He's been a part of a lot of wins for them. I want him to be the next center for the Pittsburgh Steelers going into the future. And then in the later rounds, the 3rd, 4th, 6th, and everything like that, I want to get another wide receiver, because Juju's not going to be there this year. It was a surprise that he came back this past season. So I'm going to say I want to get Say Sherratt, the 6'4" receiver out of Wake Forest, or Tamarian Terry, the 6'4" receiver out of Florida State. Big body receivers. You already got one with Claypool. What's better than one big body receiver? 2 big body receivers that both run under 4.4. I want one of them. Give me one of them.
Is Juju your number one?
Juju
or is Claypool in year 2? By the way, he just got in a bar fight recently. Is there anything that's coming out of that?
I saw that. I saw that.
I can't believe that was just kind of brushed under the rug a little bit. But
so much real stuff is going on besides
Claypool
bar fights.
being Claypool.
Apparently, Canada, eh? But no, on paper, Deontay Johnson's the number 1 receiver on paper. But in the game, on third down, who they go to is Juju. Juju's the one with the best hands on the team. Juju's the one that is willing to go across the middle on, those third and medium downs. The big play guy, obviously, is Claypool, and I hope he develops into a number 1. But you got to get somebody else that's a big-time playmaker on the team because you're not expecting to re-sign Juju. Juju's out here looking for big money, and he'll get sizable money in the free agency next year, but you got to have somebody already ready there to replace him. So I want to get to Marion Terry in that spot, a big time receiver, or say Surratt, another big time receiver.
Well, the Juju thing, I wasn't surprised he picked. A lot of people were shocked that he took less money. Like I tried to turn it into, receivers don't want to play with Lamar. Maybe that's the case. I think Juju didn't want to play with Lamar because I think he felt that whatever contract offer he was being made, he could make more money on a regular off season where we're not coming off COVID, where teams would spend more money. I don't look at Juju as a number 1, but the teams he had options from were to go play with the Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson, get paid more, good money. He would have been paid more there than at Kansas City or with Pittsburgh. And then Kansas City wanted him, and they were going to pay him a little bit less than Baltimore, not much, but less. And everyone was shocked that he wanted to go back to Pittsburgh. But if you looked at the 3 dynamics, if you look at the Kansas City, if you looked at the Baltimore, you looked at Pittsburgh, everyone's like, it's a no-brainer. Why would you not go play with, Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City? The problem is he would be the 3rd option on that team. And yes, you're playing with Patrick Mahomes, you'd get a lot of looks, but you are going to get less looks, you're going to get less catches, you're going to have less yards and less opportunity, even though you're playing with the best quarterback of those 3. If you go to Baltimore, you could have a very good year, probably be the number 1, because that he had signed. Sammy Watkins didn't go to Baltimore until after Juju had went back to Pittsburgh. He figured, hey, I'm going to go back to Pittsburgh. We're going to pass a lot because our run game's not good. His best opportunity to get the most touches, to put himself in the biggest position to make the most money long term, even if it's not with Pittsburgh, he came back to Pittsburgh for that 1-year deal because of all the quarterbacks. Yes, Patrick Mahomes is better. Lamar is probably the second best of the 3 right now. Big Ben's the worst, but the offense and the opportunity in Pittsburgh was there. And I think you're going to have a big year from him because he's playing for that big contract. But you could have said that about last year too. But there was a lot of other things that led to the tear down of that team.
Things got away from the Pittsburgh Steelers. They started playing bad. We could talk about the COVID breaks and all that, playing 4 games in like 7 days or whatever the heck it was. Whatever the case may be, the team faltered down the stretch of the season. The thing about Juju coming back, and I listened to his interview with Michael Irvin, and it made a ton of sense. It's like, Baltimore offered me the most money, but Pittsburgh offered me I got all that up front. Like he got a $8 million deal. He got $7 million for signing his name to a piece of paper. So he got all that money up front, and then he gets the other $1 million spread out through the rest of the season. The contract with Kansas City was heavily incentive based, and he would have been the 3rd, 4th option. Obviously, you got Hill, you got Kelsey, and then you got Clyde Helaire. So he's 3rd, 4th option on that team on basically a 1-year deal. So if you're going to bet on yourself, why not bet on yourself on a situation that you know? You know what I'm saying? What's the saying? The devil you know, the devil you don't know. So like when you break it down as simple as that, it makes a ton of sense. Like, hey man, like I'm going to get $7 million for scribbling my name on a piece of paper, and my bank account just went up $7 million. Or I can go to Baltimore, get $1 million, and then they spread the $7 million out throughout the rest of the regular season. Yeah, I'll probably be the number 1, but I don't know this offense. I have to learn this offense. This offense is super run heavy. Am I going to get the amount of looks that I'm looking for? I'll stay with Pittsburgh. So I'm glad he's back with the Steelers. But I don't foresee him being with the Steelers next season. So you got to get a guy in there that's going to be able to come in Juju's spot the following season. So why wait and get another guy where you can get a guy now and get him developed in your system? So when Juju does leave, he's already ready to rock and roll.
All right, Charles just wrote on the wall saying he's trying to call and that he's not getting through. Charles, try calling again. We'll get you on the line. Other interesting news, it just came out, an article here from, where did it go? Sorry, I'm losing my, Chris Mortensen. An article about Houston Texans. Deshaun Watson still wants out of Houston. I'm like, why is that a story? You should be worrying about staying out of jail, dude. Like that's what you should be worried about right now. I wouldn't be worried about getting out of Houston. You need to stay out of jail with everything that's going on with him right now. So I find that very weird article to come out at this time. Also, there is some that the Green Bay Packers are in conversations with the Niners, at least just preliminary talks right now, just trying to see what both would be interested in doing. And this could be the Packers trying to set the tone, like start a bidding war.
Right.
Because the Patriots could do a lot as well. The Patriots can give up their first round. They can give up a lot too. The Patriots would be the next Bill Belichick Super Bowl is his last, and he's out. And I think Bill Belichick would love. I think if Bill Belichick has a choice right now, and again, you could say this about a lot of great coaches, you could say this a lot about great players, where if they have the choice, that if they had the choice to, come back after a championship or try to come back and win more, they would probably end it after a championship to avoid having their career end in a loss. If Bill Belichick can get Aaron Rodgers, that's all she wrote. We'll step away for a few moments. We'll get these phones figured out. Charlie, go ahead and give us a call, 457-9464. I'm having like 4 or 5 people message now saying they're having trouble getting through. We'll get this phone situation figured out. Give us a call, 457-9464. We're also live on Facebook, and we're also live on YouTube, ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel, The Justin Kinder Show on Facebook. We'll get to your responses when we come back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be cloudy with showers, a high around 70. Tonight's going to be mostly cloudy and windy, a low near 48. And tomorrow's going to be partly cloudy and windy, a high around 63. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather brought to you by Cullet Seal Coating, protecting the asphalt surfaces around your home, office, or commercial property. Crack filling, asphalt sealing, and parking lot striping. Find us at culletsealcoating.com. First Florist and Greenhouses is celebrating their 116th year in business. Their garden center opens for the season April 29th and is full of beautiful garden plants, vegetables, and more. You'll be amazed at the quality and volume of plants in stock. The First family thanks you for your support in their 116th year in business at the same location, 1306 Troy Street in Dayton. Call them at 937-223-1213 or visit them online at firstflorist.com. That's FURSTflorist.com.
The NFL Draft is finally here. No more mock drafts. No more speculation. No more arguing with your friends about which player each team should take. Tune in tonight at 7 p.m. for the ESPN Dayton Draft Special, presented by Frickers. Dayton's own Keith Byers will share his draft day memories, and the guys will break down each first-round pick live as they come in. It's the ESPN Dayton Draft Special, presented by Frickers. Tonight at 7 on 1410 Wing AM and live on Facebook and YouTube.
Mark your calendars, folks. The Home and Outdoor Living Expo is here. Brought to you by Bath Creations, Weaver Barnes, and Giant Factory Outlet. Starting April 30th and May 1st and 2nd, and May 7th, 8th, and 9th at the Dayton Mall. 2 great weekends. Talk to the experts for all your home improvement needs, including kitchen, bath, sunrooms, windows, siding, home decor, and more. The Home and Outdoor Living Expo at the Dayton Mall starting April 30th. Brought to you by Bath Creations, Weaver Barnes, and Giant Factory Outlet. Visit eventsllc.net for more.
Mow like a pro with Hustler Turf zero-turn mowers. They engineer their mowers to be maintenance and service friendly for the everyday homeowner while not sacrificing the build and cut quality they're known for. From the heavy-duty frame to the welded steel deck to their trademark smooth track steering, Hustler Turf zero-turn mowers deliver professional grade cut quality for a perfectly manicured lawn. Come in to Small Engine Service Pros to see the Hustler difference for yourself today. Small Engine Service Pros, 2030 North Dayton Lakeview Road, Route 235 in New Carlisle.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
Hi, this is John McManus, Chief Deputy to Montgomery County Clerk of Courts Mike Foley. Because of a recent change in Ohio law, you can now have your documents notarized online. Clerk Mike Foley is pleased to offer you this service today. If you would like to request an online notarization, please visit courthouse2u.com and click on Online Notary to make an appointment. You can now enjoy our same great customer service from the comfort of your home. Visit courthouse2u.com today.
Hi, my name is Brian Sommers, and I'm an attorney with Kirkland and Sommers. We are a law firm dedicated to divorce and family law. We have 2 locations serving Miami Valley, one near Austin Landing and the other in Troy. Remember, we're not part-time divorce and family lawyers. We're full-time here for you.
Kirkland and Sommers, trusted and experienced, a family law practice dedicated to serving you. Visit them online at kirklandandsummers.com. That's Summers with an O, kirklandandsummers.com.
To all you do-it-yourselfers, get ready to welcome Fram into the fam. Because America's #1 oil filter brand now has their own new line of motor oil and fluids. And it's only at Advance and CarQuest Auto Parts. Stop into Advance and choose from 4 new Fram oil change bundles starting at just $20.99. They have the oil and filters you need to keep your engine running stronger, longer. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. See store for details.
Staples is evolving to Staples Connect, a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Don't miss tonight's ESPN Dayton NFL Draft Special, presented by Frickers, live at 7 with Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, and former Pro Bowl running back Keith Byers. You can also watch it live on Facebook and YouTube. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, that's right. We have our ESPN Dayton NFL Draft Special coming up an hour and a half from now, 7 o'clock. It'll be myself. It'll be Kev Washington. It will be Keith Byers, 13-year NFL career, Pro Bowl running back. I mean, we're going to talk about when he was drafted. As we talked about earlier, when Keith Byers was drafted, he was one of 6 running backs taken in the first round of the 86 draft. And we just talked to Trey Wingo yesterday, formerly of ESPN, and he said that he would never take a running back in the first round. I do think that it, was kind of, if you do see running backs taken, they're usually later in the first round, teams that are more buttoned up, teams that were, just on the verge of getting to a Super Bowl or winning a Super Bowl or lost in the Super Bowl, who are usually pretty stacked offensively, looking to add some depth or whatever. That's where you usually see it happen. You look at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh right now, they have a lot of holes, but getting a running game to balance out the offensive attack, there's a lot more value to the running back position for the Steelers based on their roster makeup than maybe anyone else there right now. That's why when the Cowboys selected Zeke Elliott years ago, Kev, people were losing their minds. Like, the Cowboys were actually in very good position to take a running back. Mm-hmm. They are kind of like San Francisco right now with that third pick, where they were a really, really good team who was only picking as high as they are because now San Francisco traded up to get to that point. But like Atlanta, Atlanta was, their rosters beat up. But the Dallas Cowboys that year were picking 4th because Tony Romo went out. They were, destroyed by injuries. That's why they were as bad as they were. They weren't bad because they were a bad roster. It was just a bad year because of injuries and everything else. So them getting Zeke a year after they got Des Bryant, and then you had, everyone was picturing the next big 3 in Dallas. It was supposed to be Tony Romo, Des Bryant, Zeke Elliott.
Part 2.
The triplets part 2. Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith. That's what that was supposed to replicate. The only reason Zeke went as high as he did was because of that right there. We've also seen Leonard Fournette go high, a top 10 draft pick before. Todd Gurley's been picked high before. But no, the value of the running back has definitely decreased majorly. But like I said, when Keith Byers was drafted in 86, he was one of 6 running backs. Bo Jackson was taken number 1 overall that year, by the way. Woo!
Woo, Bo on Tecmo Bowl, baby.
So, I mean, there you go. But I'm excited for our draft show tonight. So at 7 o'clock, at 8 o'clock, the show starts at 7, but at 8 o'clock, when the picks start coming in, you're going to hear the pick live on the show. It's going to go right into our reaction, and then we're going to take your calls. You're going to get to call into the show. You're going to get to be on YouTube and Facebook with us and interact with us that way, just like we do here on this show Monday through Friday, 3 to 6. But we're excited about that because everyone's going to be fired up about the draft picks and about that. And the Bengals sitting at number 5, we're going to find out here very soon if the Bengals are as dumb as what I think that they are, but I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. If they select Penei Sewell, I will see how long I can go without criticizing the Bengals because it's a smart pick. You can't quite if they take receivers in every other round after taking Sewell, you won't hear a peep out of me. You don't tank to get. I hate when people say get the talent. You can get talented guys later in the draft. If that was actually the truth, and you can, but if people planned on just getting talent later in the draft, they wouldn't tank to get as high of a draft pick as possible. No one tanks to, oh man, we're gonna tank for a 3rd round tackle this year, man. I don't want to win any games. I want to be in line to get a really good tackle in the 3rd round. So we got to tank. No, you tank to get as high of a 1st round pick as you can. Teams tank to pick 5th overall half the time. And you're not going to take the number 1 player at the number 1 need you have. I don't get it. But
I will say this. When teams do end up tanking and they do end up drafting in the top 5 and top 10, we still got to remember that, in the 2nd round, they pick high as well. So I think there is, I don't know how to say this, a benefit, and I'm using quotation marks, to that because you're not only having a high pick in the 1st round, you have a high pick in the 2nd round, the 3rd round, unless you traded them away. So there is something to be said about that. Not saying I agree with them, but I'm just saying like those are the arguments people could use to say like, well, you can get a good pick, a good player high in the 3rd round. It's not like you're drafting at the back end. You're still drafting at the front end of the NFL draft, kind of like the Bengals did last year because they were able to get a 1st round talent at the very top of the 2nd round last year with T. Higgins.
457-9464. Let's go to Reggie. Reggie, how are you? Is this Browns fan, Reggie?
Yep, go Browns.
Go Browns, baby. How are you?
I'm good. I'm up here for the draft. I'm from Cleveland, so I had to come up here.
What's the weather like? Is it as crappy as it is here?
Somewhat, but hopefully it get a little bit better before this starts tonight. Definitely looking forward to tonight. Trying to see exactly what's going on. I can tell you exactly what's going to happen tonight. Hey, I can guarantee you there's going to be a surprise, hopefully, with that number 1 pick and everything. Because, you get a lot of people talking about Trevor Lawrence over number 1. I can guarantee you, and this might be, far-fetched, but what if Meyer go ahead and pick Fields number 1?
I think that's very unlikely, but I have thought about can you imagine just like the ultimate draft night swerve of everyone talking, man, Justin Fields is going to drop. And then Urban Meyer just, his mic drop moment into the league. We're here, baby. We're here. I think it's so highly unlikely, Reggie, but I can't tell you. I would be lying if I said I haven't thought about one of those crazy, oh my God moments that no one saw coming. Because
but you got to look at it. Look at it 4 years ago. Basically the 2018 draft when Cleveland had the number 1 pick. Everybody thought it was going to be Darnold or someone else.
Sam Darnold, absolutely. I mean, Sam Darnold was, yeah.
Yeah, and they chose Baker. Baker came out of the blue.
Well, it came out of the blue in the last 2 weeks. I would be more on your side if we had heard rumblings of that. But, I mean, look, I think Urban Meyer can't take chances. I mean, that's why, he took the Jacksonville job the second that he figured out they were going to have the number 1 overall pick because Trevor Lawrence is just that transcendent quarterback talent. At least that's what we've been told, right? I'm not going to pretend to know more than what the guys who pretend that they know what they're talking about on the bigger networks. We all don't know. We all just like to assume. But right now, the safe pick for Urban Meyer and the Jacksonville Jaguars is Trevor Lawrence. But Reggie, I'm telling you, I'd be lying if I said I haven't thought about the ultimate draft night swerve of Urban Meyer putting everyone into a panic. Can you imagine if the Jets end up with Trevor Lawrence? Unreal.
Hey, you never know. But, my thing is for the Browns tonight, they're going to pick defense, which is fine for me. They're going to pick a defensive person. I don't care about the Bengals or anybody else. Browns is going to pick more on the defensive side. Most likely, they're going to pick a boy who's going to help. a little bit more with Garrett and Clowney. Their defense is going to be more and more stacked than ever before to definitely bolster them up and make them legit Super Bowl contenders this year.
Look, the key to the Browns' Super Bowl possibilities is going to be Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield was really, really good last year. He's going to have to be great for them to get to that point, because no matter how good Baker is, Baker's good cannot outmatch the greatness of some of these other quarterbacks that he could potentially run into in the playoffs. So no matter how good that defense is, you're not going to your Baker will not out Baker Patrick Mahomes. It just won't happen. And he couldn't even get past the Chiefs last year with the backup quarterback. So it's going to really be how big of a step does Baker take from last year to this year? That'll really determine the Super Bowl chances of the Browns. And I'm the biggest Baker fan out there, but even I'm aware Baker has a huge hurdle ahead of him if he has to take his game to that next level for them to actually be Super Bowl contenders. But they have the roster to do it, I tell you that much. Browns fan didn't like that, I guess. He didn't. I'm just trying to be realistic. You know, I know I could be a little over the top with the Browns, but the bottom line is Baker last year, if Baker's that same quarterback last year, this year, they're going to win a lot of games, but it's not going to be good enough in the playoffs. If Baker can elevate his game to that next level, if we're talking 32, 33, 34 touchdowns and still sticking to that 8 to 10 interception range, keeping it low, then the Browns have a chance. But he can't be throwing for 190 to 220 yards a game. He has to be. I know they're a run team first. They have great defensive identity now, but it's going to have to stem from him being able to take that offense to that next level. And maybe he figures it out with OBJ, but I think there's more pressure on Baker than OBJ, to be honest with you. Oh, are you kidding? No. We got him. Yeah. Steve from Springboro, the true American, baby. How are you? Go Browns.
Yeah, go Browns.
So I've heard you've had an interesting couple months. You battled COVID in one, and you battled something else recently, man. I'm glad that you're okay.
Yeah, I took on a semi-truck.
And you're not joking. He's not joking.
And Slimmer said, I got my hand in the dirt the whole time, dude. That semi didn't stand a chance against me.
It's that I remember that movie Kong or whatever the hell it was, where he just drops his shoulder into the oncoming semi, or maybe it was the Hulk. I don't remember what it was. Where he drops his shoulder into the damn oncoming semi. That's what I pictured you doing, my friend.
I'm still a little sore. I'm bruised up, but I didn't miss any work, and I went back to work, being the true American that I am.
See, so you were protected. It sounds like you had the Browns line protecting you. If you had the Bengals line protecting you, we may not be talking right now, my friend.
Yeah, we got a stud offensive line, the best in the NFL.
Yeah, right.
You know what anybody says. Hey, having a Browns party tonight, and Browns fans come over, doing some pizzas and chicken wings and the whole shebang. Will you be able to call in at 7:00 to the show or not?
Yep, absolutely. Show starts at 7. Same number. If you had one of them cellular devices, you'd be able to watch us live on YouTube and Facebook.
A texting device. Yeah, there you go. Too old school for that, my friend.
Totally understandable. But hey, who do you want them to take? Who do you want the Browns to take tonight?
Just grab some defense. Just stack the defense, like Reggie said.
It's weird talking to Browns fans this year. Everyone's just cool, calm, and collected. It's just like, just get a defensive guy. We're fine. We're set.
Yeah, I like the corner out of South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
The linebacker out of Kentucky doesn't look too bad.
And that's who Mel Kiper put out his final mock draft before the draft tonight. Jamin Davis, the linebacker from Kentucky that you talked about. It's between him and Zaven Collins at number 26.
But I like Taki. I like Wilson. We got some backers, and this is going to be their second, third year. You know, you got to give some guys. You know, you come from college to the NFL, gentlemen. Just because you're great in college doesn't translate into stardom into the NFL. And sometimes it takes the guys a couple, 3 years, and I think we're not terrible at linebacker, but I definitely think that getting the horn, because Greedy Williams, I'll give him a one-way ticket out of Cleveland. He's a punk ass.
He's a punk
ass. Get him out of there. All year long didn't play. He's punk ass. Get him out of there. All that hype and all that. He was going to tear it up. Him and Ward and all this and yada yada yada. Send him a one-way ticket out of Cleveland.
Hey, the Browns picked up Ward's fifth-year option. You like that?
Yeah, I think
he's good when he's on the field. He just has to find a way to stay healthy and stay on the field.
He has that injury bugaboo about him, but when he plays, man, he's an impact. He's a shutdown guy, but and he's a Buckeye, so I love that.
Hey, so who should the Steelers take?
Don't know, don't care.
What do you mean you don't care? I mean, you got to know who we're gonna. You got to know your enemy.
Oh, now they're crying like a bunch of little bitches because they're Ben's getting old and this and that. Hey, what goes around comes around, boys, in sports, just like anything else. And their little dynasty, I've been saying it to a lot of Steelers fans. dynasty's starting to crumble. Now you're starting to see it.
Well, I can't have a dynasty. They haven't won a Super Bowl in over 10 years.
Well, anyway.
What about the Bengals? Who should the Bengals take? Receiver or offensive lineman?
Don't know. Don't care.
Okay.
Because
you heard it here first.
Huh?
I said you heard it here first. Don't know.
Right.
Don't care.
I don't care. That's the Pop Warner team. They should get out of the NFL and join the Pop Warner team down Cincinnati somewhere. So
they might be.
I used to love you. I had a lot of respect for your counterparts there sitting next to you until I heard him the other day make a comment that John Elway was his favorite quarterback growing up. So I'm debating one. I like him, but I'm debating whether I ought to put him on the hamburger grill list.
So I personally don't like him as a person, but you can't deny some of the things that he was able to accomplish.
Well, no.
I mean, I was there when it happened.
All that. Now the driving the fumble, that guy. If I ever met him, I used to tell this when we were back on the day when he had the show. I said, you know what? If I ever met him in an airport, I'd probably get arrested because I'd go up and punk his ass right in the face. You know what I'm saying? I'd punch him out. I'd lay him out. I'll let somebody else get on, man. I'll call you guys back later. I'll about pass the phone around if some Browns fans are going to be here. So we might be a little inebriated. So, don't worry about it.
Had a dump button ready.
Sounds good.
Brownies!
All right, who we got? 457-9464. NFL draft tonight, baby. Everything's heating up. We got Charlie. Charlie, how are you, my friend?
I'm on the hamburger list.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Are you calmed down now? Oh, I'm trying to call in. The phones aren't working. WTF?
No, it's fine. I just thought you guys were like cool now and don't take phone calls.
Never. Charlie, you always get through.
It was rough because I was actually up in Cleveland today for my, because I drive a semi. But I saw I don't know if everybody was going for the draft, but I saw all kind of different license plates around Cleveland today. That was pretty cool. I didn't go downtown. I could have, but I didn't want any part of that mess because I wanted to.
No, I can't imagine how crazy that is. My favorite part so 2 years when the draft really exploded, when they started taking it on the road, it was in Tennessee. And my favorite Facebook memes that were going out, there was a bunch of bachelorette parties that were down in Memphis, or were down in Tennessee. I'm sorry, where the draft was. And they were ticked off because they couldn't get into any bars. They couldn't go do anything because they had booked their hotels a year in advance or whatever. They didn't pay attention that the draft was in town. So all these bachelorette parties were just ruined because there was literally nowhere to go. And I thought that was absolutely hilarious. But Cleveland is an absolute blank show right now. But again, the COVID restrictions and the rain is keeping it from really, being as big as it could be. So hopefully, it's not as, hopefully it looks good on TV.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know Cleveland Strong will come out, man. I was like, there'll probably be 100,000 just Cleveland fans there.
All right, let's get to the good stuff. I don't like when we're all just being nice and stuff. Who cares about nice? You feel good about your team's 5th pick tonight, huh?
Well, you know what? I've tossed and I've turned for weeks and weeks, and I called you the other day. I said we should take Penei Sewell. And I was listening to a draft strategist today who's been doing it for 50 years, and I think Jamar Chase is the pick, and I think it's the right pick.
It's not.
Well, you don't know because you're not a draft strategist, and you never.
Neither are you. And neither. Yeah, what the hell? What's a draft strategist, by the way? The draft is all about speculation. It's not anything other than I think this is going to happen. That's all.
I figured this part out. The reason you don't want the Bengals to draft Jamar Chase is because you're scared.
Of what?
Part of it.
Our secondary is one of the best in football. I ain't afraid of a quarterback that can't stay. I mean, your quarterback's not going to be able to get it to the guy. And then, if he goes down the field, your quarterback can't throw down the field. He can't. If Baker or Joe Burrow has issues throwing the ball deep down the field, anyways. Just saying.
Okay, well, they're going to draft Jamar Chase,
and a quarterback strategist told me that.
I'm on board with Jamar Chase being the pick.
That's fine. Look, a big picture. It probably will work. Hopefully, Burrow's alive to be able to see that through. It's not about whether I think it's not about whether I think Jamar Chase is good or whether I think that those two will work out. They'll work out, but the Bengals are not in a position to pass up on protecting Burrow right now to get to that. You can get a receiver later on, but you're getting a receiver now at the expense of protecting him. So again, Brandon Allen's going to love throwing to Jamar Chase week 6 or 7 when Burrow goes out again.
Well, I mean, they need a right guard, and they can get that in the second round.
Well, what do you mean they can get in the second round? When they needed guards in the past, they couldn't even figure it out in the first round. Now you think they're going to all of a sudden get it in the second round?
Well, I mean, there should be a good guard available, guard or center available in the second round.
Billy Price was a good center. How'd that work out?
I mean, it didn't work out.
Exactly.
His option.
So look at all the swing and misses the Bengals have made over the last 10 years, and you're speaking with confidence, and they're just going to.
10 years, we used to be one of the best drafting teams in the NFL.
I don't care, but that doesn't matter. It's recent history. They've swung and missed on how many? What confidence do you have in this team's ability to be able to all of a sudden just figure it out?
Last year we had the number 1 graded draft in the NFL.
Oh yeah, that was good enough to get you 4 wins. Wow. Hopefully you can get another good grade, and so you get 5 wins this year.
If they're going off of that,
might get Zach Taylor an extension. Increase his win total.
What did you say?
He might. That number 1 rated draft class last year got you what? 4 wins. I can't wait for you to get 5 wins this year to get Zach Taylor's contract extended.
But see, if I'm saying that they're going to get a good guard in the second round, you're saying he's going to be a buzz because the Bengals don't draft well. And I just told you that they had the highest rated draft last year.
But what does that mean? What does that mean? Like, it doesn't matter if they had a highest. You got Joe Burrow. You're the number 1 overall pick, and you got the number 1 quarterback. Of course, you were going to have the highest graded, class. I mean, that was easy. That was like passing a test with having the answer sheet. I'm not impressed.
Well, I think Jamar Chase is the sure thing in this draft.
Everyone thought that last year about Ruggs, and everyone thought that, and Justin Jefferson was the best. So I can't wait for you guys to draft the 4th best receiver in this draft class.
Hey, Justin Jefferson was the best receiver, and he was number 2 to Jamar Chase at LSU.
Okay, this is the pros. This is where, this. I mean, I know you don't know what a pro team looks like except for what the opponent you watch the Bengals play every week.
Please.
No, seriously.
The Browns are not.
No, do you guys hear how dumb you guys sound? Like, oh man, like Burrow and Jamar Chase, they played well together at LSU. Okay, you're probably one of those people that say, man, LSU could have beat the worst team in the NFL. You're probably one of those guys.
No, I don't think like that. But if you want to talk about pros versus amateurs, Cleveland is not as pro. They're not the big dogs. Okay, so you need to get it.
Oh, look at you.
You know Pittsburgh and Baltimore runs the AFC North, and until otherwise, you guys want a fluke playoff game. See,
how come when they win a playoff game, it's a fluke? But if
down their nose to the Bengals right now, and that's
they
fine.
should. You guys realize you've spent $250 million the last 2 off seasons combined, and you're still going to be in last place this year.
And we're going to smash the Browns this year.
No, that's cute and all.
Smash.
I mean,
with your fake Jadeveon Clowney, are you kidding?
Okay. By the way, the one thing that Jadeveon Clowney has going for him is that he is facing your offensive line. So thank you, because you're actually going to make Jadeveon Clowney look like a beast.
I don't have to worry about him at all. He won't get past Riley
Reef. Oh, man, you're Riley Reef. That's adorable. Hey, Charlie, good hearing from you. Go Browns.
Man. Hey, enjoy the night, man, hanging out with the College Hall of Famer. That's so cool, man. I'll see you guys.
Adios, man. Take care. Hey, Charlie. Oh, I was going to let him know that College Football Hall of Famer also believes the Bengals should take an offensive lineman and not Jamar Chase. He heard you. Just so you know. All right, we'll be back in a moment. We're going to talk with Trey Wingo. We'll talk all things NFL draft next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Save big today on your new Hyundai. Shop us first at Superior Hyundai of Beaver Creek.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, workday, play day, every day. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Save every day at Superior Hyundai.
Looking for a new car or SUV? Put Superior Hyundai of Beaver Creek on your shopping list and save. Superior has nearly 400 new Hyundais available, all backed by America's best 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty and the Hyundai Assurance. But that's not all. Right now, 0% financing for 60 months is available on most new 2021 Hyundai vehicles. Save every day and every way on a brand new Hyundai. Shop us first. Check out SuperiorHyundaiBeaverCreek.com.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, workday, play day, every day. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Save every day at Superior Hyundai.
Excludes Palisade, equals $1,667 per thousand finance with approved credit plus tax title and fees. See dealer for details. Expires 5/3/21.
There's been a lot of talk about the chicken sandwich wars lately, but only Lee's Chicken Sandwich is made famous. At Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, homestyle happens here with our chicken sandwich combo for only $5.99. You'll get a